What's happening, weirdos? This is interesting. This guy's name is Tom Allen, but most of you probably know him as Chad from Chad and JT Go Deep, their YouTube channel. He's so funny. I actually met him doing stand-up as himself. He's very funny as himself, but he's his most well-known. You got to go to Chad and JT Go Deep on their YouTube. They're like surfer. I sound like my mom. They're like these surfer stoner guys, but they go to like town meetings, like real town meetings, and like argue for a statue of Paul Walker, or they want to fight for the right to party in Delaware. And it's real. It's a little like Borat-y and very, very, very funny. You got to check him out and check out Tom when you can see him live. But look for Chad and JT Goes Deep. So glad you guys are here. This show is, what? I don't know what I was going to say. This show is important to me, and I'm glad you're enjoying it as well. Go to PeteHolmes.com for my tour dates. I had to reschedule Atlantic City. My apologies to our friends in New Jersey. We're going to get a new date for that. It was work-related. Everything's fine. We just have to move the date, but keep an eye out for that. So the next show will be Austin. April 5th, I'll be at Largo. Always so fun. And then actually that I think we had to cancel as well. Shit. We're going to get some new dates for April. Part of April just kind of got, moved around. But for sure, April 19th in Austin, followed by St. Louis, Toronto, Nashville, Irvine, San Jose, and Royal Oak, Michigan. All of those are available on PeteHolmes.com. Apologies for the reschedules. I always hate canceling, and we avoid it whenever possible. So trust, if we did it, we had to do it, and we will redo it. We will find a way to make it happen, and we look forward to all of that. All of that will be on PeteHolmes.com. So in the meantime, enjoy our friend Tom Allen, Chad and JT Goes Deep. This is Chad. I'm going to ask you to get into it. Get in here, Thomas. Right here, is that comfortable?
It's very comfortable.
Oh, you did put a good amount of distance between us. Most guests will go right there.
Will they go right there?
No, you don't have to.
I mean, I'm a middle.
You like that? You like that?
Yeah.
Does that work for you, Katie? She's going to adjust the camera for your middle couch lifestyle. But I
thought I've seen people in the middle.
Oh, you've seen the show?
Oh, yeah.
Well, then, first of all, thank you. But it's like full respect for mid couch.
I mean,
let me ask you this: we go to the movies, courtesy seat between us?
Yeah.
It's like that kind of.
Yeah, maybe I have some intimacy problems.
Get on that ice cream cone, bro. Yeah. Tell me about your
Are
intimacy.
we rolling?
Yeah, dude. Welcome to the show, dude. You always get punked right in.
There we go. I didn't realize.
We don't have to. We can trim all that out. But I like that middle seat.
Yeah. I like to spread out.
Yeah, dude.
Just get relaxed.
Man spread, they call it.
I'm a man spreader, yeah.
Yeah, you spread it out.
Yeah.
I can't believe you heard the show. That's so nice.
Yeah.
We met briefly at a show. Where was that? Do you remember?
Solana Beach.
Solana Beach.
I remember. I forget the name of the club.
Me too.
But it was a fun show.
It was fun.
Yeah.
I want to do it again.
Me too.
It's real pretty down there.
I like Solana Beach.
That's what I mean, yeah.
I left there and I was like, I want to move here.
To Solana Beach.
I do.
Isn't that like 90 minutes south of where we are right now?
It's not that bad.
It's not that bad.
Yeah. I mean, you're in Ojai. How
90 minutes north, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's 3 hours for me.
And how did you drive this morning?
Yeah. But I'll make myself a nice little Monday.
Yeah.
I won't drive. I have driven in just for this, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But usually I'll do this and then a couple other things, and then I'll go home.
Is Monday your LA day?
Monday's my LA day.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm like Tim Ferriss.
Yeah.
I'm real regimented.
Yeah.
People always say that. You Google Tim Ferriss, it says, "Did you mean Pete Holmes?" It's like the similarities.
That's why I thought. That's why I thought I was coming on.
That's right.
Yeah.
To talk about peak performance.
Yeah.
Biohacks.
4 hours.
4 hours?
4 hour work week.
Oh, yeah. Does he do that anymore, though? I feel like...
I have no idea.
I don't mean to make that face, but I'm like, I feel like that was like... I bet he would have a term for that. He's like, that's your splash. Mm-hmm. You got to get into the market with a splash.
That was a huge splash. Well,
and then later you go like, I'm working 4 hours a day. You know what I mean? There's no way you're Tim Ferriss and you're working 4 hours a week.
I know. Well, it's what do you do with the rest of your
What do
time?
you do? That's the other problem.
Yeah.
You go, oh my God, life is so long. Just playing through Red Dead over and over and over and Zelda over and all the long games because you only work 4 hours a week is like, that's like 30 minutes a day.
Well, and do you think he feels beholden to his brand?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Well, I have emailed Timmy Fair, and he, at the end, like he has a signature that says like, you may notice my emails are short. And that's because, and it links to 4 Hour Work Week, which says we should be writing short ass emails. It's like, don't waste time being like, hey Tom, thanks for your interest in talking to me. One thing before we get started, my cat just attacked me. I just needed to tell somebody. So he's just like, I'll see you Monday. 11. Done.
And in the emails, was he curt?
It wasn't. Now I want to look it up. You want to look up what a Tim Ferriss email?
I do.
I do too.
I'm interested.
I'm like trying to live life. You know what I mean?
Are you a biohacker?
I go through periods in my life.
Mm-hmm. I'm similar.
Yeah, but like, what do you mean? Like, because I'll flare up real hot.
Yeah.
And then I'll get real crazy for a while.
Yep.
Then it's almost like the other half of the year, I'm like Jabba the Hutt, and I'm like, shut up, I'm just like slothing around on my slug holder.
Well, that's where I'm at right now because when I started comedy, I was like, I need to have a morning routine. I need to set myself up for success.
Yes.
I need to breathe, to meditate, to like unlock my potential.
Yeah.
But then my morning routine became like 3 hours, and I would stress myself out about adhering to that, and it'd be like noon, and I'd be like, I'm exhausted.
Buddy, you are just right to be talking to me right now.
Yeah.
Like, I relate so. First of all, I looked it up. It was a totally normal email. It was a normal length.
Yeah.
There was no signature at the end. I must have misremembered that.
You're like, did you like this took up most of your week?
What? Say what?
Or his email took up most of his work week.
Dude, you don't have this kind of time. I'm worried about you. Right back. Well, I'm so with you. Like, right now, I usually get real flared up in the winter. Like, I come to life. Mm-hmm. I'm so like in the summer. I was just watching your hilarious. By the way, you just are hilarious.
Oh, thanks,
I was watching Fast and Furious lines in public.
Yeah.
Man. There's what I do, and I love what I do. But when you see people just playing and being purely silly, like I understand there's like strategy and there's editing and there's production. I'm not saying it's sloppy, but I am saying it's pure.
Yeah,
it seems really playful.
Oh, thank you.
And the town hall stuff. I don't know if those are town halls, but you go into those meetings, and it's just so. I don't know. I think the highest compliment I can give the videos that I've seen of yours is like, it's like somebody woke up completely unafraid. Yeah. Completely unafraid. And that's like, I think that's a really high compliment. Yeah. You woke up and realized the infinite potential of reality. Yeah. And went at it without fear. Because a lot of those ideas, like saying Fast and Furious lines in public, somebody might have that, but then they'd be like, it's weird or whatever. And you just go and do it. Or you go and petition in Delaware for parties or whatever it is. Yeah. And it's just, it's not only funny, but there's like something kind of quietly inspiring. Like, why am I so tight? Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Would you say that that's important to you, like playfulness and not being afraid? First of all, thank you. Yeah. I mean, that means a lot. High praise coming from you. So I was thinking about that because, like, growing up, I was very, I always had that playfulness about me, but I was shy. And I did feel I've always kind of felt a little bit, in real life, that kind of scared to be myself a little bit when I was younger. And through like Chad and the character and stuff, that was like, that was sort of my way of I just wrote down routine so we wouldn't forget. I didn't want you to think I was like a therapist taking a scary note. Keep going. I love this. You felt more comfortable as a character? Is that? Yeah, or even just or through comedy, like through stand-up, because I started in stand-up and found this kind of persona on stage, and
and through that, my brother actually said, he's like, that's the real you on stage.
Wow.
And I think because maybe my family's great, but it's, highly educated, very focused on success growing up. And so
Where?
I grew up in California.
Yeah, I imagine.
But yeah.
maybe you were just doing a really great impression.
Yeah, I'm from Northern California though.
Okay.
And but like I went to boarding school back east, and like I'm the fifth child, so my older brother's in finance, and then sisters went to Yale and all that kind of stuff. So they were all very supportive and encouraged me to be myself. But I did I think I always had like a little bit of a guardedness to me.
Yeah.
But that side of me would come out
The funny side.
Yeah.
Am I hearing you correctly that loving family, but also not exactly like your dad and mom and dad aren't like doing bits at the dinner table necessarily?
No. Yeah.
So here you are kind of feeling like a secret goof.
Yes.
And yet you're being kind of pushed to, and no disrespect here, but like, go to dental school or whatever it is.
That's exactly what my dad encouraged me to do. Well, okay, so
that's crazy.
He's a
telepathy tapes.
Yeah.
I'm claiming it.
He's a doctor, so
okay.
He, in college, I was kind of like I did fine at like B's, but he's like
B's, nothing to sneeze.
Yeah, nothing to sneeze. But he was like, you should be a dentist because they have a great lifestyle. You can surf and do what you want.
That's sweet. He was thinking about you.
He's always thinking about like our futures.
It's not the dad from Dead Poets Society.
No.
It's a dad who's trying to like.
He was
trying to vibe with you, and use words like that, like trying to vibe with you. Like I see you like surfing and taking it easy, so you should be a dentist.
Yeah, he's very like loving and supportive.
Yeah,
and he just cares. He wants us to be safe,
right,
and secure. And so he's like, kind of like, I was into surfing. I studied philosophy, and he's like, "What major is that?" And I'm like, it'll work out. And
you're just in a barrel talking about Plato.
Yeah.
And he's like, "What?"
Yeah.
Like, look, that's not my style, but as a dad, as I get older, I worry about me when I was in my 20s. Yeah. Like I look back and sometimes I see somebody's in a show.
Yeah.
Like I went and saw Stomp. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I love this. And I caught myself going like, but what are these guys going to be doing in 10 years? You can't do Stomp for 10 Like, that's how I feel. Like, I've hardened.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
Yeah.
When I was in my 20s, going to open mics being like, this is going to be fine, like you.
Totally.
But now I'm a middle-aged man, and I'm like, sure, you're in Stomp now, but those years could have been used. And I don't actually feel this way. I'm just kind of like embarrassed that I can relate to how your dad feels.
Oh, yeah, and I totally get it, especially I'm in my 30s now, so I like, it is funny looking. I remember Anthony Jeselnik said you need like a large amount of naivete to go into comedy. Yeah. You like this kind of feeling that you can do it because you just go into open mics and you're just kind of trusting that it'll work out.
And what's weird is, I'd like to hear your thought, I don't recall worrying.
Yeah.
Like, I know that sounds crazy.
Yeah.
Sure, I worried like when or how it might happen, and I was aggressive and I was anxious.
Yeah.
Sure. But I never was like, and this sounds like a brag, I don't really mean it as a brag. It was more of that naivete you're talking about, where we were just kind of doing it. Yeah. And we thought we were doing the right thing. And I've said this a million times. I was like, we would be doing better than the other people at the open mics, and that's all we knew for that day. Very good for like ADD types. You're like, I won that day. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I didn't spend too much time being like, what am I going to do when I'm 50? You know what I mean? Like I didn't think in those terms. Yeah. You relate to that?
Oh, 100%. It was that thing of like, oh, I just got a new bit. I'm making my way.
See, this is what your comedy reminds me of. The guy that's like, I got a new bit.
Yeah.
You wake up.
Yeah.
things are good. I got a new bit. It is kind of that surfer mentality. Like, what could be wrong? I got a Pop-Tart. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's like, we're fine.
Yeah.
We have it. And there's the dad from Dead Poet Society going, get this hemp furniture out of my fucking house. Okay. So I don't mean to interrupt. I'm very interested. Your dad told you to be a dentist. You started in stand-up. Your brother said that's the real you. Feeling pulled like kind of like an episode of The Crown. Like you're supposed to go to the boarding school.
Exactly, yeah.
Was it rough like that? Was it like kind of beating the silly out of you?
I don't know if it was beating the silly out of, I think I went to boarding school. I was excited to go because my brothers went and I really look up to them.
What was it called?
Hotchkiss.
It always has names like that.
Yeah, Hotchkiss.
You going to Hotchkiss?
Choate.
Choate?
I got into Choate. I didn't go to Choate.
Choate is another one?
Yeah.
Dude, I got a choate. It sounds like a kind of like a prickly dick or something. Like
a choate. A chode,
but it's good. It's not prickly. It's something. It's not a chode. It's a long chode. It's just a huge dick.
It's an intellectual chode. It's a
My
New
chode
it's a New
Proust.
England.
It's a New England chode.
It's New England
chode.
Chode.
Chode. You got into chode.
Yeah.
But you went to Hotchkiss. And you were excited because your brothers went. But what is it? Are we making our bed? Tell me everything.
Okay, so I was really excited to go because my brothers went there, my sister went there, my other sister went to St. Paul's, similar school.
Okay, these are overnight, like boarding schools.
Boarding schools.
Yeah.
And coming from, I was born in Sacramento, and no one I grew up with went to. It was like unheard of.
Yeah,
they're like, "What are you doing?"
It's very anti-California.
Yeah,
something about the Pacific Ocean says no.
Yeah,
come home.
I know.
Well, that's what I thought. After school.
Well, I was excited because I was like. I looked at the East Coast culture, Connecticut. I was like, oh, wow, they wear like polos and, pastel. Yeah. And my brother was in finance. He's 11 years older, so he was in finance. And I was like, wow, he's making moves. He's on Wall Street. Like, this is so cool.
You liked it?
I liked it. Yeah. In 8th grade, I was really excited to go. And then I went, and it was a huge culture shock. Just the competitiveness and, it's... I remember one of my first... I'm kind of writing a bit about it now, but one of the first guys I met, he's like, "What do you want to do after college?" And I was like, "I work for Billabong." I don't. And he was like, "I was like, what do you want to do?" He's like, "Oh, I want to manage a hedge fund." And, we're like 14. I'm like,
I relate so hard.
Yeah.
This is going to sound silly, but when I would ask I remember being like 12.
Yeah.
Maybe even younger. Like, how old are you in 8th grade? Like around 11, 12?
14,
no, older than.
14, 15?
Even then, 14.
Yeah.
So older than I thought. No, because you graduate high school, you're 18.
I turned 13 in 7th grade. Something like that.
Okay, so let's say I was around 12, I think. Yeah. And I would ask a kid, like, what music he liked. And I liked Vanilla Ice or just whatever the fuck was happening.
Yeah.
And he'd be like, Stones or Beatles? And I was like, what? That's my version of hedge fund.
Yeah.
Like, when you talk to a kid and you realize they have, like, a rich and, like, learned relationship with their father, where they're, like, sitting around talking about Stones versus Beatles.
Yeah.
Are you an Elvis man? Are you a... I was just like, what the fuck? Like, I knew my dad, but my dad wasn't like, there's two kinds of people in this world. Stones and Beatles. And here's why you want to do a hedge fund. Or even be a dentist. So you were... I relate to your out-of-water feeling.
Yeah.
I still don't know what a hedge fund is.
I don't either.
I don't know what it is.
I don't think people in hedge funds even know.
I don't think they know either.
No.
It's like that game they're playing in Severance.
Yeah.
Where they're clicking the numbers and they go into that's a hedge fund, I'm pretty sure. But at the end of the day, you get $3 million.
Exactly. And they're just moving blocks.
It's Severance, but you know who you are.
Yeah.
And at the end of every day, you get $3 million. That's what a hedge fund is. And Ben Stiller is directing you for some reason.
They're like, you just put the block on. They're like, wow, you
did it, man.
The older I get, the more I feel like that's what Wall Street kind of like.
No one knows what's going on.
Finance, it's just words.
It's words for I fuck with money.
Yeah.
It's like, I feel like finance is, you have $100 billion and I know you.
Yeah.
And then I say, you don't want to worry about that 100 bill. And they're like, I absolutely don't. I have all these candelabras burning down. And you're like, you handle the candelabras.
Yeah.
I'll take it, and I'll take a 0.01% fee.
Yep.
And I do that 10 times. Now
Yeah.
I should have said 0.1%, because now I'm making 1% of $100 billion.
Yeah.
Which I'm not here to do math, but that's
Yeah.
got to be at least 100 million.
Something like that.
Something like that. And that's what finance
It's
is.
crazy. And it's like, it's exactly that. Hey, I'll take this money and I'll put it in bonds. And you're like, what are bonds? It's a made up thing, but it earns you a little bit more money.
And great name, by the way.
Yeah.
The balls to call something a bond. I'm going to put your money in a bond or a trust.
A trust.
We're going to put it in a trust and a bond and
Roth.
a fixed rate Roth IRA.
Yeah. Roth IRA. Yeah.
These are all of those words that we just said are the same as Code Red Mountain Dew. Like, it's the same style. Like, what do I say to make you think I'm an extreme beverage?
Yeah.
Or what do I say to make you think you can trust me with your 100 bill?
Well, that's like Wolf of Wall Street, where he made up the name.
I love that movie.
What was it? What was the name of it? Like Wolf and
Oh, yeah.
Wolf and Gray or something.
He makes up the name.
Makes up the
because
name.
it's supposed to sound like you can trust these people.
Exactly. Yeah.
I was just saying to Val the other night, dude, this feels like a Chad and JT kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, what I mean by that, it's like a lava lamp kind of like beach conversation.
Yeah.
But I said to Val, I was like, we should only be talking about this. All we're doing as a species is trying to get each other's money. And that is so weird.
It is.
No, with some exceptions.
Yeah.
But for the most part, even the exceptions, like a pastor or a priest, these are like state-sanctioned nice people.
Yeah.
That will kind of like help you, or like FEMA or you know, the Red Cross.
Yeah.
But they're still getting financed by the state.
Yeah.
Everyone else is going like, do you like this? Do you like this?
Yeah.
Give me some. Give me some. And that's Pepsi all the way to a fucking Roth IRA.
Yeah.
Everyone, but like, if you look at it like zoomed out, like you're on a very intense psychedelic trip, if you could see it from above, it's just energy just constantly moving back and forth. And that's what we call reality. We're just like, you have it, I have it, he has it, you have it, we have it. But like, you could also just be like, could we just stop this? I know I sound like a fucking deadbeat, but I'm like, what if we all just took some of it?
Yeah. No, it's true. And also, like, going back to the finance thing, it's like we make things up.
Yeah.
And we're like, this is, you know, or even what's funny is like growing up, you're like, you go to like the dentist and you're like, oh, they're just they just fix teeth. Right. But then you grow up and you're like, no, it's a business and
they're selling you.
They're selling. Yeah.
I can't believe you said that, because the first time I went to a dentist and they were like, you need braces. I mean, my teeth were like this. I was in my late 20s and they were like, you need braces. And I was like, oh, like it clicked.
Yeah.
Like I felt like Steve Martin in The Jerk. Like I had been a child.
Yeah.
And then I was like, they want my money.
Exactly.
They will sell me braces. I decidedly don't need braces. I didn't get them.
Yeah.
My teeth are very straight. I didn't need them.
Yeah.
This guy was going to put braces on me
For money.
just for the $4,000.
Yeah.
And he's like, and he goes home, and his wife is like, how was your day? And he's like, great, I sold this dumb fuck braces. And they feel good. And our culture is like, he's good. He won.
Yeah.
The dingus got braces, but you get like 1/8 of a boat payment.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God. It's so, it is. My dentist is so transparent about it too. He's like, tell your friends about me. I need more money. He didn't say I need more money, but he's basically like,
help.
He's like, look, man, I'm hurting here.
He's like, I'm going to be Invisalign, okay?
Yeah.
I need help. I'm going to let you see right through my corrective structure. Yeah. Also, when your dad said to be a dentist, isn't like the number one not fun, it's not a fun fact about dentists is that they
kill themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Number one.
Like, you know, is so antithetical to who I am.
You mean just being a dentist?
Yeah. Did I use antithetical right there?
Yeah.
Correctly?
Like it's completely against.
Well, I was just all about having fun.
Yeah. Antithetical.
Being tan.
Antithetical.
And he's like, you should be a dentist. But you know what's a fun fact though?
Okay, can I just hard agree?
Yeah.
Don't forget your fun fact.
Yeah.
Because you're so not a dentist.
I know.
The neon light.
But if you think about it, I would be a fun dentist.
You'd be a fun anything.
Yeah.
But you'd have to do it on the beach. Which also, like, why aren't we doing that? You ever get a massage on a beach? You're like, yeah, this is where it should have been.
Give it a cat. I mean, you
Clean
hear
air.
the ocean. Yeah.
Oh, yes. It's a free white noise machine.
Why do all
Things.
medical offices have to be so sterile and
I completely agree.
unfun?
I completely agree. I went to a urologist that made his office like a man cave, and I was like, okay, but not this, but
Not that you're-
something.
Yeah.
Something. I like some intention.
Yeah.
It's like IKEA was like, can't furniture be fun?
Yeah.
Here's the two things they need to fix in the medical industry. One, you should go in and it shouldn't be khaki and light blue and fucking dead inside with the neon, and it sucks. And it just, the whole lobby looks like you have it. And the magazines are so old, and it's George Clooney's wrinkled face, and everything's in this Kleenex, and there's always an old woman, and you're just watching her and you feel terrible. The whole thing stinks.
Yeah.
The other thing is, it's 2025 and we're still filling out the same form 5 times. You're like, how many times do I have to write the date?
Yeah.
Get on board.
Paperwork.
No one's doing this. It's because you cut open people.
Yeah.
You feel like you don't have to get an app.
Yeah.
Eat fucking shit, dude. Our handymen have an app.
Yeah.
And ladies. Okay, keep going. So
How crazy is it that there used to just be files?
And
just
if it went
paperwork everywhere.
And if there was a flood or any sort of disaster, they're like, yeah, we don't know when you were born anymore.
Wow.
We don't know. My doctor,
that.
before my present doctor, was one of the dying breed of like, when he would like, he'd take your height and your weight, he'd take out the little wheel and tell you if you were obese based on a little wheel. Looked like the decoder ring from A Christmas Story.
Yeah.
He's telling me to drink more Ovaltine. I'm like, he's like, you're fat. That's what he did. He went, you are medically fat. And I was like, that's a ring. That thing doesn't work anymore. Joe Rogan, giant guy, would be chronically obese based on his height and his weight. It's so dumb.
Oh my God.
Anyway, that needs an update. He's out of business though. New lady app.
Oh, that's hilarious.
So you don't want to be a dentist. Antithetical.
No, but you know what is
fun fact you said.
Yeah. So at the end of college, I always had an interest in like Hollywood and entertainment. And I thought the acceptable path would be producer. And I was like...
That's the hedge fund of show business.
Yeah. I mean, I was like, the title sounds good.
It does.
It sounds acceptable.
By the way, who involved in a production isn't producing, like isn't making it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the actors and the writers are producing the movie.
Yeah.
But they're like, no, I produce.
Yeah,
I produce the movie.
I'm the producer.
But you're just calling in everyone. Well, then I've been in show business for like 20 years. I still don't know because there are different kinds of producers.
Yep.
There's some that are incredibly involved, and then there's some that are just the money people.
And then
so
EP,
I still don't know.
I don't know what EP is.
I've been an EP, and I don't know what an EP is. It's literally when there's an argument. It's like the military.
Yeah.
You go like, Staff Sergeant, I'm a colonel. And that's spelled in a way you wouldn't guess.
Yeah.
So I win. It's just a way. Anytime large groups of people get together, there need to be power structures to say who wins when there's a disagreement.
Exactly.
And that's what an EP is.
Yeah.
So you were going to be a producer.
Yeah. So I said, we were at, it was the holidays. I was like, I want to be a producer. And my dad was like, I think you should be an actor.
What?
Yeah.
So dentist dad has a strong second act?
Yeah. So I'm the 5th child. So
youngest.
It's 7.
Oh, there's more.
7. Yeah. So
wow.
I'm the youngest of my mom's kids.
7 kid Adventists? Are you 7 kid Adventists?
Yeah, 7 kid Adventists. So
gotta do it.
He was like, you should be an actor. And I was like, really? And he's like, yeah, I think that's what you want to do. And so he's actually the reason he gave me the green light, and then I just went like
hard,
full steam.
How old were you when he said that?
21, 22.
This is incredible.
Yeah.
So wait, do you have a guess on this? Did he Is it like in a movie, your mom's putting cold cream on and looking in the mirror and he's
Yeah.
taking off his watch? You know, it's
Yeah.
got that kind of like 2-tiered watch system.
Yeah.
And he's like, I just don't know about Tom. And he's like, sweetheart, let him go.
Yeah.
He's going to be an actor.
Yeah.
He's going to do it with or without your blessing. So give it to him. Do you think it was that?
I think I was like subtly resisting all these, this kind of path
Yeah.
of, going to medicine and finance or whatever. Not that I don't even think I could have
Done it.
passed the classes, but
Yeah.
that was what I was being pushed towards. And I was just subtly resisting it. And I think he was kind of like, by the time he got to me, he's kind of like, I'll just let him be himself.
Oh, the other kids had whittled him down
Yeah.
like a rock underwater.
We call him Laid Back Bob now.
LBB?
LBB, yeah.
So he's now laid back Bob.
Yeah.
But your first sibling, who's 11 years
11 years older.
older,
Or 12?
he got the brunt of Bob.
Yes.
He got full power Bob.
Yeah.
He got like...
So it's my brother and two sisters. They're, 12, 11, and 9 years older.
Oh, wow.
And then it's my brother and I. My brother's 2 years older. So it's sort of like we grew up kind of separately.
Yeah, of course. They took a big intermission.
Yeah.
Same mom and everything?
Same mom.
They just were like, what do we do now? And they just did another family?
Yeah, they're like, it's the late 80s. We need, we gotta restart.
Got to do something else.
Yeah.
And they made a second batch.
Uh-huh.
And now you think just by virtue of being worn down and laid back because of having so many fucking kids, he was
Yeah.
cooler by the time you showed up.
Yeah, and I think too he loves like action stars, and he had this dream of me being an action star.
Oh my God.
And he still pushes me towards that. Like even last week, he's like, "Hey, if you got on like Special Ops or what? There's a reality show about being like a.
Is there
Do you know what it's called?
I think it's called.
Like
special ops?
he's like, he's like, if you got on Special Ops, the reality show, Special Forces.
Special
Do you
Forces?
think that could get you into action movies? And I was like, I think it's the other way. I think you go movies and then reality, not reality into movies.
Oh my gosh. Wait, are the people on Special Forces X?
I think like Denise Richards was on it. I haven't watched it. Yeah.
But he wants you to be. It's interesting because you look like the Memento guy.
Oh yeah, what's his
Guy Pearce?
Pierce. Yeah.
Yeah, Guy Pearce. You should be him. I'm telling you what to do like
For
your
Halloween.
dad. Well, it would be a good Halloween costume.
Yeah,
You just have to remember Sammy Jenkins
Yeah.
on your thumb.
I mean, I think if my dad saw me kicking ass in a movie,
He would
he
love
would be
it.
so stoked.
He would love it.
Yeah.
But then I still want to hear about boarding school and your morning routine. But like,
Yeah.
you get this green light from your dad. What a great moment in the movie of Tom. Like that's a key scene.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If we're beating out your life.
Yeah.
And then you start doing stand up, and then is this when your brother says like, "Oh, that's the real you"? Like I saw you.
He actually said that recently.
No way.
Yeah, but I think he's always kind of known that.
It's the "There you are, Peter" from Hook moment.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh my God, that's like your essence.
Yeah, because that goofy side of myself would come out with like him and like my mom. I'm really close to my mom, so I was always just really silly with my mom. And
This is so cute. I can't handle your story.
Yeah.
You got the softened, laid back Bob. You
Yeah.
have the silly mom.
Yeah.
Everybody's loving you. Your brothers are seeing you.
Yeah.
This is great.
My sisters are great. I know
Yeah,
it's
good for you.
So and then boarding school. Yeah, I was, yeah, I became an adolescent and I just kind of rebelled a little bit and
What is that? Yeah, go ahead.
I just started partying a lot
Yeah.
because I think I was just kind of searching for an identity because it was like, it was Connecticut. Everyone was really good at hockey or lacrosse and I
You just
think I was
gave me
kind of,
PTSD.
Yeah.
I just
Oh.
didn't. And
Yeah.
I was friends with some lacrosse players. It's not like they were classic bullies or anything, but I just remember being like, I can't with the.
oh yeah. And to, like competitive sports too. I was like,
Not into it.
I'm not competitive. And I was like, I played water polo and everyone would be really intense. I'd be like, who cares?
Yeah.
Can
Can I ask a kind of against our timeline.
Yeah.
When you got into comedy, did
Yeah.
you, this is a leading question, I'll just say it instead of making it a question.
Yeah.
I was never competitive. And then when I found comedy, I recognized that when I cared about something,
Yeah.
that's when my competitive juices appropriately would kind of flare up.
100%.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
It's because we don't care about the outcome of the game.
Yeah, and it's I was like, this is. I just knew. I was like, oh, this is. It's kind of like where you just recognize, this is exactly what I want to do. So
Yeah,
I was like, especially starting out, it's like with open mics, you're like, I'm gonna do this. This is my life. I'm not, I'm not gonna like drink or do any. I partied a lot in college and high school, because I think I was just kind of like, didn't know what I wanted to be, and just kind of searching for an identity. And
it's Fight Club, man.
Yeah.
Do you remember that part in Fight Club where he goes, suddenly we had a reason to trim our nails?
Yeah.
Or to like, I don't think he says not drink, but essentially what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's like a lot of times when you're trying to quit something, like for me, it would be like overeating or let's say smoking too much weed or whatever it is. It's not about stopping something, it's about starting something. It sounds like an internet clip where you should play swelling music under it.
Yeah.
But it's like, don't stop smoking, start swimming.
Yeah.
Like I've surfed. When you're surfing, you regret every cigarette you've ever had. You know what I mean? You're like, that was insane. Like I need to be strong.
Yeah.
So stopping something sucks. But when you find your Fight Club, then you have the reason to trim your nails. And you are getting up in the morning, or you are keeping your hair neat because you don't want someone to pull it in the fucking ring.
Yeah.
So you found the reason to, I don't want to say clean up your act, but like get focused.
It was like pure focus. And were you similar when you? Like, when you
with stand up?
Yeah. When did you start?
It was I basically say 2000, 2001.
Yeah.
It was to be clean, we can say 2000.
Yeah.
But when I first got to Chicago, it took me a while. I dragged my feet because I was scared, and then I went, and then like once I was in, I was very in.
You just get hooked.
Totally.
That first laugh and
Oh my God, you're so right.
Yeah.
In fact, I don't want to sound like a turd, but when I talk to people, and they're like, "Yeah, I did stand up for whatever. I did stand up for 2 years, and I've been meaning to go back." I was going to be like, okay, that may be, but also there's probably, you're going to find a Fight Club. You're going to find the thing that like you have to do it, or you kind of feel off.
Yeah.
You feel better and more comfortable. And just because culture values stand up or values humor or values being special or whatever it is, doesn't mean that's your thing. Your thing could be something else.
Totally. And it's also, you'd see with people, a lot of times it would be like, I hate open mics and doing it. But I'm like, to me, I was always like, I love open mics. Like, just like
low risk.
Yeah. If you're at like Liquid Zoo in the Valley and you're making like some degenerate laugh on like a Tuesday night.
Yes.
I was like, that is that means that joke works.
That is so beautiful.
Yeah.
You're really lighting it under me, that nostalgia for like, I mean, the thing, like I'm not proud of this, but if there's a gig and I'm like, I don't want to take 2 planes and then what's the money? And then by the time I'm done, it's like when you're young and starting, I'd take 3 trains and a fucking car and lose money to do 5 minutes and no one's there.
Yeah.
Never once was like, well, that was stupid. Like if I did what I did in my 20s now, every night I'd get home and be like, I gotta fucking change. I gotta figure this out. I can't be doing this. But in your 20s, I'm not just saying this. I was like you. I was like, there was a table. I still remember sometimes where they were sitting at an open mic. Not their faces necessarily, but I did a show in Chicago where there were 2 girls that came. I remember every moment of the show. I remember the bits I did.
Yeah.
One of them was, and I saw a road sign that said "End road work." I was like, man, people will protest anything. That's the dumbest joke. But I remember where I was, and I remember these 2 girls laughing at it because it mattered. We found our Fight Club.
Yeah, it's like, and it's working.
And it's working.
Especially at open mics, if people are laughing, you're like, wow, this joke
really slaps.
It's been like an LA open mic or like Chicago. It's like this must really work.
Yeah. That was even more so in New York.
I bet.
In Chicago, it was rough, but people wanted to have fun, I think. And then in New York, it was like 99.9% comedians.
Oh, yeah.
And it was just, that wasn't as fruitful of a of a scene. Although that's not true. There were some places that were okay.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, okay. We're kind of on boarding school, but we're also just kind of on.
Yeah, so I keep going back and forth.
No. We don't have to. Speaking of Memento, we can go out of order. As long as at the end we find out the guy from the movie Sneakers is Sammy Jenkins and is you.
Yeah.
Spoiler. So you can pick up wherever you want. I'm interested in you were partying because you were looking for your identity. I'm assuming you just like mean weed and drinking. You're not like.
Yeah, I mean, I dabbled in some,
pills and powders.
Yeah, I mean, because it's boarding school.
Is that like true? A true thing?
Yeah, I mean, it was it was a zero chance policy. So if you get caught once, you're out. So you kind of look for alternatives because weed stinks. So does booze.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That is I've never considered that if you have a zero tolerance policy, you're driving kids towards cocaine or ketamine.
It's like prison.
It is.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I actually, one thing I did is we heard that if you eat enough nutmeg, the spice, you can get high.
Nutmeg, and then what was the one that's like weed? It's a seed. Oh. It's another spice. Anyway, that one's not true either. But nutmeg, you did?
I ate a bunch of nutmeg.
Did you mix it with water? See, kids are so fucking dumb. You were probably eating it like the fucking red clay of Mars, and you're just scooping it in. It's going up your nose.
Yeah.
And you just chalked it down.
Yep.
And it nothing?
No. I thought I felt a little bit goofy for a second, but I don't. That was probably just in my head.
Oh my God.
But that's like, so I kind of was like going off the rails a bit. I was always I was good at not going like crazy, but
too far.
But it was kind of, my parents actually got a little concerned.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What was it? If it wasn't weed or booze, what was your thing?
There's some coke.
Oh, cocaine.
Yeah.
That's the Coke smile.
Yeah.
Coke.
Because I never intended on doing any of it, but like, and I always thought at that age I was like, if you do hard drugs, you go insane.
Yeah.
Like you just lose your mind.
Yeah.
And then someone like had some buddies doing it a little bit, and so I tried like a little bit. I was like, oh, that's it.
Yeah.
So I was like,
well, how old are you?
34.
34. So even, I think you caught probably like the tail end of what I really got, which was like the DARE program and all that stuff, which I'm actually, again, as I'm old man now worrying about the people in Stomp, I'm also like, that was a good program. I'm glad I did that.
Yeah.
But it certainly wasn't, remember, like even Just Say No, it was like, let's stop the nuanced conversation. Just don't do it. And then that gets kind of turned into like, we had a cutout from a newspaper that was a woman with a gun up her nose and it said cocaine. Like that's how they were dissuading us. Like it was a disturbing image.
Yeah.
But that was the 80s and 90s' approach.
Yeah.
And I'm not even faulting it.
Yeah.
Like they didn't want to be like, look, you can do a little toot.
Yeah.
They don't want to say that.
Yeah.
But so you did a little toot, and did it like, was it your thing? I know this is weird to talk about, but like, did your brain go like this?
No, I was never really at risk of getting addicted to it.
Because some people, that's the other thing we hear is like some people do it and they're like, that's what I've been looking for, and that's what addiction is.
Yeah,
that's like the voice of addiction is, this is what I've always wanted. You know, and some people do light up that way. Yeah,
and I definitely enjoyed it, but it was more so. It wasn't more so it was the feeling of partying was like kind of going back to like performing. It allows me to be myself a little bit. Mm-hmm. Whenever I was partying, I was like, that's when I felt like I was like, that's who I am.
I knew what you were going to say.
Yeah.
Because, look, I've never done cocaine, but stand-up, it's got to be like that. I mean, you could tell me if it's similar. That feeling of elation. Oh, yeah. And the feeling of fearlessness, right? Like, I can be really nervous and existentially dreadful before a show. Yep. Then afterwards, I'm like, what is there to fear? There's nothing to fear. Just feel fantastic.
It is crazy, that roller coaster you got.
Yeah, right? It never goes away either, in my experience. It doesn't go away. It doesn't go away.
Yeah. And it's funny you bring up existential dread, because I do sometimes feel that before I get really, I'm like, what is life? What am I, how am I going to get through this thing?
Before you're going on stage, you're very vulnerable, I think.
Yeah.
And your body doesn't know what's going on, and it
Yeah.
kind of wants you to just get out of that situation.
Yeah.
I don't really feel that anymore, but I think the body does. The body
Yeah.
is like, or maybe we could just get the fuck out of here. And it'll start lobbing some weird balls at me, which are like, what is this? Like, and I've had like strange panics.
Really?
It's like it's looking for something to stick the panic to.
Yeah.
So it'll find like the easiest one, which is like, what is life? What is reality?
Yeah.
We're all gonna die. Like, and it'll stick it to that because it needs somewhere to hold it.
Yeah. Does that still happen, would you say?
Well, now, we'll get to this, but you and I, when we met, we bonded. We only had like 5 seconds, but we were talking about our friend James Bashara, and we were talking about non-duality. I was going to say non-dualism, I guess you could say. And I was like, now when I perform, my spiritual beliefs are very helpful because I go, it's just us. It's just a dream.
Yeah.
Give them a good dream. Like let's all have a nice moment together, but it's not going like, if you can take an audience, if you can take the otherness away from an audience and really see them as an aspect of your true essence, then there's nothing to be nervous about.
Yeah.
So it's actually a really helpful. But when I was kind of in the beginning of my non-duality, I would sometimes be backstage and be like, basically it all comes down to, can you, if the universe is one thing, can you trust that thing?
Yeah.
Or is it devilish and sinister and strange?
Yeah.
And the more I've encountered it, the more I've trusted it and the more I've softened. And then it does help me before I go on stage to go like, what are you talking about? It's all just play. Just go out and
Just play,
Just play. It's not as serious as you think. It's just you watching you, and we're all just doing nothing, and it's all gone.
Yeah.
But it was also beautiful.
Yeah.
It can be empty and beautiful at the same time.
Yeah.
But that's why all my heroes, that speak on non-duality seem so chill. They're talking for like 1,000 people, and they seem like they could fall asleep at any second.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's what's up. I'm not being spiritual to be practical, but it does have a practical implication to public speaking.
Totally.
Yeah.
And it's, I mean, that's what's attracted me to spirituality and non-duality is the playfulness, is like, wanting to reach a place where you just always feel playful and secure, knowing that, who you really are is awareness, and it's nothing can really hurt you.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is the quote? It doesn't matter. It's in the Bhagavad Gita, where it's like, actually, it's also in the Course in Miracles. Nothing real can be threatened, and nothing unreal exists. That's a really nice way of putting it.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, my body and all this can be threatened. Well, then it's not real. The only thing that's real is this thing that can't be hurt, and that's really you.
Yeah.
And that actually goes back to my original compliment. When I see you going into these situations, what's so appealing and attractive about fearlessness is it looks like someone who's secure in who they are.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. It's thank you again.
Yeah.
That's
What's the chillness that comes from what do you say that that person is secure in themselves?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's always in comedy too. It's always I've always loved comedy and certain characters. Even like Kramer, I would watch Kramer on Seinfeld.
Yeah.
And to me, he had that. He's so secure.
Yes.
In just being Kramer.
Unafraid.
He's not afraid. And
unafraid.
He doesn't really care what other people think, and he's just living.
Well,
yeah.
Sorry.
I don't know. He's just living.
I'm just so
life.
with you. I'm so with you. I think I don't want to encourage us to grade levels of spiritual realization. It's very tempting to want to do that.
Yeah.
But I would say one of the indicators of knowing your true nature is a certain playfulness and a certain fearlessness.
Yeah.
And those two things are incredibly appealing when you run into them.
Yeah.
And you do see it. I just watched, I'm going through a Bob Dylan phase. The joke I make is, for no reason. But lately I've been getting into Bob Dylan. No reason.
Yeah.
So stupid. I'm such a fucking ham. I watch
love
a
it.
dumb Chalamet movie. It's a great movie, but then I get into it. I'm such a fucking hack. But you watch Don't Look Back, the documentary of him in the 60s, and you're just like, this guy's not afraid.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And when you know who you are and you know yourself to be the impervious awareness, then there was that moment in that doc where someone says, Bob, you got a death threat. They're in the green room.
Yeah.
They go, Bob, you got a death threat. He's like 20 years old. And he goes, somebody said they're going to shoot you. And he's smoking. And you see the whole thing on camera. And he goes, I don't mind getting shot. I just don't want to be told about it. And I was like, that's a guy.
Yeah.
Whether or not he conceptualizes it in the way that you and I would conceptualize it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, he knows his true essence.
Yeah.
Know it, schmo it, teach it. It doesn't matter. He is it.
Yeah.
He's a guy that's just like, all right.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow,
It
fucking cool.
It's awesome.
It's awesome.
It is. I'm like, I remember watching like Ferris Bueller growing up. I'm like,
Ferris Bueller, there's something Buddha-y about him as well.
Yeah, it's just like it's
in the moment.
In the moment.
But that's what I said about your work.
Yeah.
Your work feels like guys that woke up and went, no one would stop. Like, it's a fun thought experiment if you realize you were only going to be you for one day.
Yeah.
It's just like a little vacation.
Yeah.
Like there are entities in another dimension. They vacation in you.
Yeah.
And they can use your access, your friends, your talent, your location, your country, your year. What would you do? Yeah. And like when things are exciting, you feel like you're honoring that experiment. And a lot of the videos you make are and I'm not leaving some out. I'm just saying the ones that I've seen all have that like, wait, we can play?
Yeah.
So they're playful and they're unafraid.
Yeah. Thank you again.
This episode is brought to us by our friends at SHAKTI Mats. I wonder, have you ever tried laying on a bed of nails? No? That's basically what a SHAKTI mat is. It's thousands and thousands of tiny, hard plastic spikes on a mat that you roll out. I put it on my favorite anti-gravity chair so I can really get on there. Why? Well, because it's like cold exposure. It's like a sauna. It's like a tense massage at first, and then you melt into it, and it's basically like having an on-demand, amazing, stress-relieving, muscle-relaxing, circulation-boosting massage at the ready. You basically have a massage rolled up in the corner of your room whenever you need it. I travel a lot, and especially as I'm getting older, so much tension in my shoulders, in my back. I even sometimes stand on my SHAKTI mat to activate all of those acupressure sensor points and just feel stress melting away. I absolutely love it. I love massage. I love all of those things that I mentioned, but SHAKTI mat is different. You don't get all oily. You don't have to make an appointment. You don't have to strain through it. You get to adjust and move. If it's too much, get up. But I'll tell you, if you push through the initial of laying on an acupressure mat, you are headed towards Pleasure Town and Relief Town and Stress Melting Away Town. It is a wonderful, wonderful secret weapon against stress and muscle tension. The first time I used it, I fell asleep. I think it's so relaxing, I don't even think about it as Pokemats anymore. And if you're looking for something to get a friend that is eccentric and strange and you don't know what to get them, everybody deals with stress. Get him a SHAKTI mat or get yourself a SHAKTI mat. I've tried other types of acupressure mats. It is incredibly high quality. It's the sharpest and it's handmade in India by people who are paid fairly. Paid fairly. Hard to say. And with the highest quality materials, I can vouch for that. So deeper sleep, stress relief, muscle relaxation, better circulation, mental clarity, and just a general sense of well-being whenever you need it. SHAKTI mats are my secret weapon for reliable serenity and relief. Go to SHAKTImat.com. That's SHAKTIMAT.com and use code WEIRD30. You'll get 30% off any SHAKTI mat. That's SHAKTImat.com. Use promo code WEIRD30. Speaking of feeling better on airplanes, I have a secret weapon whenever I fly. I take LMNT. Why? Because whenever I want to be super hydrated and take care of my body from the inside out, meaning flooding every cell with the optimum ratio of sodium, potassium, and magnesium. Those are the three. Hydration, hydration, hydration. Prevent brain fog, headaches, cramps, all of the bad things associated with not getting enough water. But it's not just water. You need these minerals to assist your body in absorbing that water. We know about electrolytes. In the 90s, it meant a flat red soda. That's done. Element is all of the good stuff, none of the bad. It's like 5 calories. It tastes fantastic. I love the watermelon salt. That's my favorite flavor. And there's no BS in it. You're getting potassium, magnesium, and sodium rushing into you. It's replaced my morning cup of coffee. When I fly, it keeps me hydrated. After a workout, it makes me feel fantastic. You can just feel it rushing into your body, replenishing you and giving you what you need to feel fantastic. I also find it's wonderful for brain fog, for mental clarity. It dials you in. So go to drinklmnt.com/weird. Use promo code weird. You'll get a free Element sample pack that's like a $14 value. You can also try their new Element Sparkling, which are 16-ounce cans of sparkling electrolyte water. I absolutely love them. The black cherry lime is my favorite. I'm often drinking it on the show here. And Element even has a no questions asked refund policy. You don't have anything to lose. You don't even have to send it back. So support your body, support this show. Go to drinklmnt.com/weird. Get your free sample pack. That's drinkelement.com/weird.
Non-duality, all that kind of stuff is just and you see it in, or even like Eckhart Tolle.
Yeah.
You just see this in his eyes. He's like,
yeah,
not afraid, and he laughs at the, like, when people bring up their issues.
I know.
He like giggles. I love that.
Rob Bell tells this story of Desmond Tutu and the Dalai Lama. He was doing a talk with them, and they came on stage. They were the headliners.
Yeah.
I think whenever spirituality and show business collide, it's really funny.
Yeah.
So to think that they're planning on who they're going to introduce first, they're like, well, we'll bring Rob out because he's like the opener. Then we'll bring out the Bishop Desmond Tutu and the Dalai Lama at the same time because they're co-headlining.
Yeah.
But so Rob is sitting on the stage, and Desmond Tutu and the Dalai Lama come out, and these two, like, you know, holy people walk up to each other, and he's like, what are they going to do? And he says they get real close and they start tickling each other. Literally just like babies, like toddlers. They're just tickling each other.
Interesting.
And giggling like children.
Yeah.
And I was like, that is also what I see in Eckhart. There's this talk, I've plugged it many times. It's called The Sun Will Also Die. It's a talk that Eckhart Tolle gave. It's an interview. There's no audience. On 9/11. On September 11th. And I actually don't think you should start there if people listening aren't familiar with Eckhart, because you might be a little weirded out.
Yeah.
But his equanimity is so secure.
Yeah.
And that goes back to the metric of how you measure. It's unafraid and like trusting in the unknown.
Yeah.
Like there isn't a moment where you go like, it's okay. I met God and he said, don't worry. Like we all have some mystery and some uncertainty.
Yeah.
But the fully cooked ones, for lack of a better term, seem to just like giggle at that too. Yeah. And he's that way. And he's laughing and being light. Like in a way that like on 9/11 that no one human would be. I don't mean he's unsympathetic. He mourns and he gets serious, but he's also light and it's not what you or I would do.
Yeah. That's so much. I gotta check that one out.
It's worth checking out.
What's it called again?
The Sun Will Also Die. I'm pretty sure you have to like, you can't just go on iTunes. It's like a deep cut.
Okay.
I had to get it and then get an MP3 player on my phone, but it's worth checking out. But he's saying the same thing he always says, and like that consistency is so appealing. My life is so up, down every day. Like even today, I woke up in a terrible mood. I'm in a great mood right now.
Yeah.
Like I can't staple down who the fuck I am.
Yeah.
So I'm very drawn to people that are just like, this is how I am.
Yeah.
Because I'm not just running errands for the screaming baby.
Yeah.
Which is I'm still running errands for my screaming baby.
I mean, it's. I
mean my ego, Leela, if you see this. I don't mean you. I mean my own importance, my own safety.
Yeah.
And validity and
it's that
sugar.
It's that conditioning is so hard to break.
Yeah.
And that's you're from New Hampshire, right?
I'm from Boston.
I'm from
outside of Boston, yeah. But I'll accept New Hampshire. I love it.
Dude,
I love that.
New
Hampshire, I mean, it's new. And it's Hampshire.
Live free or die.
Live free or die, man.
Yeah.
And they got fireworks, pretty sure.
Yeah.
New Hampshire still intimidates me. I'm from Massachusetts. You look at New Hampshire like, you want to go in the attic? Like, it seems frightening.
Yeah.
Connecticut, too.
Yeah.
But Connecticut is dirty because it's so close to New York, close to the city.
Yeah.
So it has a little grit. New Hampshire, I have no sense for it.
Yeah, and that's hilarious. But there's that conditioning of like the East Coast, like I got in like boarding school or growing up, where you're like, man, if I'm not successful, I will die.
Yeah.
And I still have that, where it's like, I'm just got engaged.
Oh, nice! Congrats, bro.
Thank you. And I have like this like
paddleboard ceremony.
Oh yeah, we got christened by our shaman/landlord. No. But I did propose at the beach.
You got to, man.
Yeah.
Do the proposal your face dictates. It's a beach proposal.
Yeah.
Sunset?
No, midday.
See, that's even better.
Crisp December day.
Even better.
I was pretty pumped.
See, the visiting tourist is waiting, checking when sunset is. You're just like, beach is beach, baby.
Yeah.
Beach
nice
is
guy.
beach. Yeah, nice.
But it is when you kind of that like added responsibility. You're like, man, I have to make a certain amount of money to like, keep to like kind of keep things afloat. And I think that's when James actually Bashir always says that like the real world will always. You can study philosophy all day and meditate or whatever, but the real world will always really test it.
Yeah.
And it's like maintaining that center when new kind of responsibilities
for sure
are thrown your way.
Well, I mean, you see that in a lot of the spiritual traditions, right? Jesus goes into the desert. Mm-hmm. Buddha went into the woods, I believe. Mm-hmm. But they all come back. Yeah. And I was actually just this morning, so Rupert Spira is my non-duality friend, teacher, person.
Do you know him?
No, but he that's a him thing. He's like, just call me your friend. He's like, please don't call me a teacher.
Yeah, I was listening to him on the way here to prepare for
Oh
this.
my God, that's hot. I love that. I mean, like, fucking fire. That's sexually erotic. I love that. But he was talking about, like, if you can only be peaceful when you're meditating or, like, when you're on a retreat, it's not really going deep enough. We have to bring it back. Yeah. And I wrote it on my mirror. He was like, the real thing is to say thank you for everything. Yeah. And I've been doing it. I've been really stressed, and I'm just trying to be like, thank you. That's I'm not controlling this manifestation, and I'm a frustrated, kind of feeling like a little overworked this week, and also like a lot of parenting and just like a lot of body aches and a lot of flying and a lot of headaches, and my family's been getting sick, and I'm just sort of like and then he's like, thank you. Like who am I? It's almost like old school religion. It's like, who am I to say how things should be? This is how it is. Yeah. And I'm choosing to say thank you. Yeah. Like your dad with letting go of the dentist thing. True. Don't fight it.
And just saying thank you, and it's kind of, sometimes I can get to a place of where stressful things arise. Like just life comes at you, and you can either go, like why is this? Why do I have to deal with this? Why can't everything just be smooth? Yeah. Or you can get to a place where you're like, oh, isn't this cool? Like, I've got tax problems.
Yeah, that's so funny. I wrote about that in my book, and it's advice that I'd do well to take from myself. Mm-hmm. But I go, when you're having tax problems, you say, like a TV show, go, this is a good episode. Yeah. Like, I don't know how I'm going to get out.
It's a cool story.
It's a cool story. Yeah. And when you see, sorry if I've said this a million times, I know I've said it before, but zoos aren't prisons. Zoos are actually nursing homes. Mm-hmm. I know there are bars, but really it's much more doting. There's your meals and medicine, and they're just keeping you alive as long as possible. I don't feel like the vibe in prison is like all that medical care and all of that, like whatever. So when I'm at a zoo, that depression that you feel for the animals is actually like, oh, yeah, because that's not life. That tiger wants to chase its food. Mm-hmm. So your tax problems are a tiger chasing its food.
Oh, that's interesting.
And it's like the happiest it's ever been. Yeah. And look for other examples of this, not to minimize PTSD and the trauma of war or fighting, but military people with that intense purpose. Mm-hmm. really miss it. Even people in certain traumatized areas talk about the bonding and the purpose and the togetherness of that.
Yeah.
That's the opposite of a nursing home.
Mm-hmm.
Like having your meals brought to you and having no tax problems is actually, it goes back to the 4-hour work week.
Yeah.
We're all falling in on itself. It's like, and then what? Like we need to actually, we can't just clean the plumbing. We have to flush the toilet. Like we want to see the water go through the pipes.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's the journey. And a lot of it too is like going back to like the pressures I put on myself of like, you know, like getting married. It's like that's just a story I'm creating. I'm putting that on.
Yeah.
What my mind thinks her expectations are, but that's
right.
It's that's just, you know, the mind just doing its thing.
It's so good what you're saying. You're absolutely right. It's hard to have real time perspective. That's really another thing I feel like spirituality is. It's about not looking back and being like, what was I so upset about? But going like, what am I so upset about now? Like, let's look at it honestly now. That's really interesting. I had another thing and it flew away. I started thinking about Eckhart Tolle again. But so you're about 10 years younger than I am. And when you talk about achieving and getting married and success, that I've been doing parts work therapy, which has been really internal family systems.
Yeah.
Couldn't recommend it enough.
Yeah.
People were telling me about it for 10 years before I finally did it. And it's like one session. This sounds like an ad. Promo code. I'm just kidding. There's no promo code. In fact, I don't even have a person to tell you to go to, but internal family systems therapists. One session, I would say, is like 10 sessions of regular, maybe more. Because you go in and you find the part of you that actually thinks it will die if it's not successful.
Yeah.
And you talk to it.
Interesting.
It's really interesting. I can't, it's one of those things I get so excited and I'm also aware that it's kind of boring to hear about. Not to you, but I'm worried that the listeners might be like, this again. But like, I realized in doing it, like, I like my drive and my dreams, but like they're at a 5-alarm fire. If I lose a thing or a gig goes away or that, like I really think I'm going to die. Like there's a part of me that's like, you're gonna die, or your wife's gonna leave you, or the only reason people like you is because you provide.
Right.
And then you start to realize that your dreams aren't even really. It's not as clean as that. It's not your dreams, and there's nothing wrong with this. We can work with it. But you're kind of like mirroring, you mentioned your father. I'm mirroring my father's drive to be successful and to be seen as a success. So I'm like, they're not even my dreams. They're just the dreams. They're just like the pressure.
Right.
It's like, and when I say I inherited it, I don't mean like a disease. I'm just sort of like, no, I'm carrying something that I saw and that my daughter is also going to see. I have to be very careful to be like, that's not your value. But still, I sure am going out to the batting cages a lot for someone who claims to not care about hitting a fastball. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that speaks pretty loud.
Yeah.
But so you have that a little bit, like especially from your boarding school days, like if you don't kill it.
I a big time, I'd say.
Really?
Yeah.
That's your biggest fear, like I'm worthless?
I think so.
Welcome to the podcast. Is that your biggest fear? I'm worthless?
Yeah.
That's a lot of people. It's a lot of people in show business. I'm worthless.
Yeah. I've been getting, through studying this stuff, I've been, you know what's funny is like I got into like, when I first got into comedy, I got into like Wayne Dyer and even like The Secret, you know, visualization.
Me too. Everyone has to start at The Secret. I'm not saying The Secret isn't worth something. I'm just saying, like, I feel like we all start
that's
there.
your gateway.
It is a gateway because it's fun.
Yeah.
Like,
I can just visualize a yacht.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
So I
and when my chips are down, by the way, you'll hear me going back a little bit towards like, you have to see it first.
Yeah.
That's like, I'm the guy with the briefcase, but the briefcase is really just filled with like cracker wrappers.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm just like, you're out there hustling, trying to get something going.
Yeah.
I'll start talking about manifestation.
Oh,
if I
yeah.
ever say manifestation to you, it's because I'm in a tight spot.
Yeah, I'll be like, well, you're going through it.
And I don't just mean circumstantially, like something's thin and tired about me that I'm really like, we need to start taping up some pictures.
Yeah, after an early flight. You're like,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And no coffee.
Yeah. Oof.
So you started with The Secret.
Yeah, no, you know what?
And Wayne Dyer.
Yeah, because I think I still love Wayne Dyer, but I think that the uncertainty of like the comedy, or, you know, is I was like, I need something to grasp onto.
Yeah.
Like and then that it provided that kind of security. It's spirituality.
Like the big picture, don't worry kind of stuff.
Yeah, or even more so at that time, like the vision board kind of like, if I visualize this and I just work towards it every day, which I don't think is a bad thing to do.
I don't either.
But I'm like, then it can manifest and I'll be okay.
You know what it is? It's we're on a ship.
Yeah.
Going on a huge voyage.
Yeah.
And nobody begrudges you for having like a little wooden parakeet that you rub every once in a while.
Yeah.
And like the value of that little wooden parakeet might not be scientifically provable, but the psychological, it's Wilson, the volleyball.
Yeah. It's my Wilson.
It's a joke just for Val. Val, my wife, used to teach middle school, and she showed them Castaway, and she's like, what's an example of conflict? And someone went, Wilson, the volleyball? So we always say Wilson, the volleyball. But like Wilson isn't literally helping him, but he really is helping him.
Yeah.
And when you're in that uncertain place, that's exactly what I've been saying. That's when you're like, fuck it, man. A vision board does help.
Yeah.
But I also think knowing what you're aiming for is deeply important, even if it's not exactly what happens. No, at least you're aiming in that direction.
Yeah, and it's and I think too, it just gives you kind of something to grasp onto. But then, I guess what I was, and then, but I really started to like, I'd listen to Eckhart Tolle, and I'm like, the present, you know, I'd kind of grasp it. I feel like it has to marinate for a lot of people for like a year or two, till you, or maybe even longer. Maybe it just has to marinate your whole life, and you just continue to grasp it more and more.
I think there's something about, there's even a Bible verse where it's something like, verily, verily comes the word of God. It's like you have to like do it over and over.
Yeah.
You said conditioning and neural grooves. I really think there is something in the gray matter about like, okay, you were told that your value was your achievement and this, and this. Well, we have to like wash it over. Second time I'm thinking about a rock underwater, but waves have to go over it so many times before it gets smooth.
Yeah, and it's and go back to James Bashar. Shout out Magic Mind.
You didn't drink your mind, man.
Yeah,
you didn't drink your Magic Mind.
Oh yeah, is there? Oh, I gotta have
dude,
one.
Of course there's a Magic Mind for you.
James, if you're watching, what up?
Yeah, dude. Come on, James, get it. Promo code weird.
Is that the promo code?
It is added to your bill. Though. It's 10% more.
Promo code weird for Magic Mind.
Yeah, there you go. It's actually 10% off. This gag is over. You guys probably see me all over the internet talking about modern mammals, but it's real. It's absolutely real. In fact, I was just shooting something this week, and my hair needed to look perfect, and what I used to do in the past was I wouldn't wash it. I wouldn't wash it for 3-4 days, and that's how I got my hair to have that hold and that flow and look correct and not poofy and fluffed out, which is what shampoo does. But turns out Modern Mammals is a different kind of shampoo that cleans your hair but makes it look like you didn't wash it with shampoo. It's clean, it's manageable, it holds, it's got a flow, it looks perfect. It's almost like you don't even have to put in product afterwards. It's like it has enough natural oil retained through the washing process to make it look like, you know, when you just got back from the beach and your hair kind of looks perfect because you were swimming? It's like that. And it's on demand. It's fantastic. It lasts forever. Get yourself the bottle, which is a traditional shampoo feel, or the bar, which is a pH balanced, plastic-free version. Both are fantastic, and you can try both for $44. That's a special deal. Go to modernmammals.com/weird. You can get that special combo deal and try both the bar and the bottle for $44. Like I said, that will last you a really, really long time because you don't even have to use it every day. Just when you want your hair clean, wash it like this, looks perfect in about 30 seconds. That's modernmammals.com/weird. Absolute game changer. Also, I'm wearing my Apollo right here. My Apollo Neuro is a wearable piece of tech that I wear on the inside of my wrist. This is a true story. Last week, my daughter Leela took it off my wrist. I'm always wearing it. She put it on. She was playing Little Dada, and she ran away. Then she lost it. She didn't know where it was. And I spent a day and a half without my Apollo. And guys, I couldn't believe how much I've come to rely on my Apollo. It vibrates directly into your nervous system, sending soothing, calming messages, basically in the language that your body speaks, to calm down, to regulate, giving you the sense of being held. The first thing I noticed was my sleep was dramatically worsened. It was harder to fall asleep, and I was waking up way more, because when you put the Apollo on the sleep setting, not only does it lull you to sleep by establishing a vibration rhythm on your body and then gradually slowing it down, lulling you into serenity, it also automatically reruns at the moment in your sleep cycle when you're most likely to wake up and stops you from waking up. If it only did that, I would be telling you that the Apollo is incredible. But it can also help you wake up, feel social, feel clear and focused, rebuild, recover, calm, unwind, good night. There's even a joy setting. If you don't like it on the inside of your wrist, you can wear it on your ankle. It was developed by a neuroscientist and a board-certified psychiatrist who have been studying the impacts of stress in humans for 15 years. This is not a mood ring. It's not a crystal. Apollo's effects on stress, sleep, cognitive performance, and recovery have been proven in multiple clinical trials and real-world studies. It's amazing. Give it a try. You get $40 off and support the show. Go to apolloneuro.com/weird. Use promo code WEIRD. That's APOLLONEURO.com/weird for $40 off. All right, back to the show.
He talks about, because he studies Vedanta, and he talks about how, it's Vedanta, like, you have to wake up, or they prescribe every morning you wake up at like 4 a.m. and meditate and study the philosophy, because it's like, you need to, if you don't do that, the old conditioning will come back in. It's sort of like,
oh wow,
it's like breaking through, I don't know what a good metaphor is, but it's kind of like cracking the ice a little bit. Maybe.
Yeah, it's also like your security guards are still asleep.
Yeah.
Like it's
yeah. That
you
time.
get up before they're up.
Yeah.
Because I feel that. I like to get up early in the morning, and I can feel Pete. I can see him down the freeway. I'm like, God damn it, he's going to be here any minute.
Yeah.
And you do get a good couple hours where it's just kind of clean. I've also heard Rupert say that it's an auspicious time to meditate and study is because you were just deeply asleep.
Right.
And when you're deeply asleep, you're consciousness without an object. So you're basically like merged.
Yeah.
Which is why we love the peace of deep sleep. You also don't remember it.
Interesting.
Because there's nothing there to remember. It's completely objectless, which means it's timeless.
Yeah.
But he would say it's not the absence of awareness. It's the awareness of absence. So it's just awareness with nothing to notice.
Right.
So it's a non-experience.
Right.
Another way to say that very simply would be like you were just hanging out with God, and then you wake up, and then like you start kind of conceptualizing it. Those two things getting married, I think, has a very profound impact. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
This is kind of going off, but
yeah, go ahead.
What do you think happens when we die?
Well, it's interesting. When you ask me a question like that, I've noticed that I often tend to quote my teachers. And sometimes when I'm quoting my teachers, I'm telling you something that I aspire to fully, to use the 60s word, grok, like embody and believe and take into my cells. So with that card showing, I like what Rupert Spira says. He's like, our lives are like, it's like we're a current. You like this because it's the ocean.
Yeah.
We're like a current in the ocean
or
a wave. And when you die, nothing happens to the water or to the ocean. You just kind of like go back.
You merge.
Yeah. But I smoked 5-MeO DMT, which is like a death trip. It's like a death experience.
Yeah.
And when I came back, well, even saying that is wrong, because that was the big takeaway. I was like, you don't go anywhere. There's nowhere to go.
Interesting.
You can't move an inch away from source, God, being, knowing, consciousness. It's what you are.
Right.
So no matter what shows up on the screen, no matter how far out your death experience is, it was still on the screen,
right,
which is what you are, which was always right there. So I smoked 5-MeO. I felt like I went into infinity. But then when I came back, I was like, but I was here the whole time. You don't go in, you don't go up, you don't go out. You were there and you've always been there. And that's the big joke. Is you go like, you were looking for something and it was you.
Right.
Like that's the joke.
That's so interesting.
So that was my death experience.
And was it really blissful and peaceful?
When I was there?
Yeah.
Well, it's like being deeply asleep there because it's timeless and a little bit objectless.
Yeah.
You come back and you start speaking in metaphor.
Yeah.
But the way that I described it to some of my other brothers that were doing it as well was I was like, this isn't literally it, but I felt like I went through like a kind of like a birth canal.
Yeah.
There was like definitely like a tightness and then an expansion.
Yeah.
And like a very like a rocket engine of like through and popping through.
Yeah.
Even though you're not really seeing that, but you've stopped seeing, like your senses are gone.
Yeah.
So metaphorically, you're in a place that felt like being on the top layer of clouds. If you've ever been flying and there's like a real layer, like a ground of cloud, like a heaven, like a classic heaven, to be honest, but it's dark. And the sky, it looked like stars. And then there were just like bouncing orbs. And the feeling, I actually just had a ketamine experience. It's very similar. It's like, this is beyond yes and no. Yeah. This is beyond I like you, I don't like you.
Yeah.
And that's the only way to describe it. We only know yes and no.
Right.
And when you go to something that's beyond yes and no, that's when the tears start flowing. Yeah. That's when you start crying and laughing.
Yeah.
And that's what peace is you go like, we only, to quote Rupert, we only look at snow through orange tinted glasses. The five senses are orange tinted glasses. So everywhere we look, we see orange snow.
Yeah.
And when you take them off and you go beyond the senses and beyond yes and no, you go into this other place where you could say you're accepted or you could say everybody is accepted, but even the thought of accepted, unaccepted, or me and everyone is so absurd that you realize we've only ever tasted an echo of an echo of an echo of peace, or an echo of an echo of an echo of acceptance.
Wow.
Because the real thing is actually so much it's so inexplicably potent.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. So that's what I think. Not to have hubris here, but that felt like a little bit of a dress rehearsal for dying.
What so and then when we manifest in this kind of physical plane.
And you mean manifest, you mean come into manifestation. You don't mean make a boat.
No,
just because we were talking about The Secret earlier. You mean when we come
our
into...
true selves made a vision board. No, I'm just kidding.
We are the truth selves vision board.
The physical plane, this is that's just the pure awareness having an experience of itself in this physical plane. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so for sure. Yeah. Again, Rupert would say it's like the ocean. So solipsism is my limited mind is the only mind.
Right.
It's the only thing I know for sure, so it's the only thing I can know for sure. So I'm going to hypothesize that you're not real. You're not having an inner experience. You're not thinking or feeling. You're just appearing in my limited mind, and it's the only mind there is. Non-duality is like, no, the one infinite consciousness is like the ocean, and it's simultaneously manifesting as seemingly 10,000 things. That's what they say in the tradition. Obviously, it's billions of things. Yeah. But it's really just one ocean and a wave, and nothing's really changing. And the ocean in itself never ceases to just be totally fine and peaceful.
Right.
But that's what do you think happens when you die?
I mean,
I know you enjoyed what I was saying, but like, is there
I like what you're saying. But I do. Yeah, I think it was. I listen to like near-death experience stories.
Me too.
I find them so uplifting.
We had a great near-death experience guy on this pod. I'm so. Can you look that up, Katie? I'm sorry, because I'm blanking on his name, but it was great.
It's so uplifting, and I sometimes I'll listen to them while I go to sleep.
Adam Tapp is a great one.
Adam Tapp.
You could listen to him on this podcast, or you could just type him into YouTube.
I'll check it out
because he shocked himself to death, and he has. Let me just, I really feel so privileged in this moment to be talking with you and to have talked with Adam, and just like to take things that you read from Rupert, to experience them in psychedelic ways, to experience them in meditative ways, but then to also talk to people who have died and have them reflect the non-dual understanding back to you.
Yeah.
With like a very firsthand sort of thing. And then I mentioned the telepathy tapes earlier. Do you know the telepathy tapes? So nonverbal autistic kids are across the country, across the world, showing very quantifiable, meaning verifiable signs of telepathy. So much so that I have a friend whose brother has autism, so he's nonverbal. They tested it on him. So it's not just a podcast anymore. They got a random image generator on an iPad.
Yeah.
The mom was looking at it. He's very close with his mom because that's his caregiver.
Yeah.
He's over here watching an iPad. He's not even paying attention. She'd look at an image. He'd just start typing what it was.
Wow.
Isn't that incredible?
Yeah.
I'd go into more detail, but it's their story.
So interesting.
But you can listen to the telepathy tapes.
Yeah.
But that is also like, if it is one ocean, then one wave presumably could merge or borrow the shape or an aspect of another wave.
Yeah.
And a near-death experience is also like, they'll use things like, we're always here. We've
Yeah.
never not been here.
Yeah.
You don't go to the afterlife. The veil is removed. Like it's more like stimuli is removed
Right.
and the naked processor of your computer is,
Yeah.
you're the blinking cursor now.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
Wow.
So sorry, you were saying.
No, I'm loving this.
Yeah,
And
no,
you know
I can
what?
tell. I'm
makes me-
enjoying it too.
It feels so. I love talking about it because it just makes you feel so joyful, which is so weird.
I completely agree.
Just talking about death, because I'll listen to like near-death experiences where he's like, I was hit by a car, and
Yeah.
that's how it starts.
Yeah.
And then people are like, you go to sleep to that? I'm like, trust me, it's like when they talk about it, it's so.
Well, there's something scary to me. It was never the zombies that were scary in Night of the Living Dead. It was that no one believed you. I've said that a million times, but like,
Yeah.
you're running from zombies. You go into the police station and go, there's zombies. They'd always be like, yeah, right, this guy's smoke.
Right.
That sucks. So when you have a near-death experience person or a spiritual teacher that does talk about death
Yeah.
and goes, there are zombies out there, like your shoulders go down and you're like, fucking thank you.
Yeah.
Can we talk about it?
Yeah.
That's
It's the
way
best.
more peaceful than denial
Yeah.
to me.
I love it. I think it's a similar, basically what you're saying. I think it's you kind of merge back with pure consciousness, and you're stripped of the kind of the egoic mind, the ego constraints, and so things like desire or fear are kind of stripped away from you.
Yeah.
Because you're not in this physical body where you can sense threats.
Right. Right.
And then that's just pure love.
That's right. Well, the reason
Yeah.
we use that word love too is that it's again, it's a Rupert metaphor, but like the space in this room allows these couches and you and me. And no matter what we do, we could be having a vicious fight.
Yeah.
The room would still sort of neutrally, but you could also say lovingly,
Yeah.
like accommodate it.
Yeah.
And that is the spirit in which I've encountered God's love, we'll say. I put it in quotes because that's just, those are words.
Yeah.
But God's love is this unbearable yes. This
Yeah.
aggressive yes.
Yeah.
Way more than you would than is polite.
Right.
And sorry, I'm going on and on, but Jesus
I love
even
it.
tells stories. I love the one where the landowner hires 3 workers and one shows up at 9, one shows up at noon, and one shows up at 5. They
Yeah.
all stop working at 6, and the landowner pays them all the same.
Yeah.
And people are just kind of like, what?
Yeah.
And Jesus is like, that's like the kingdom of heaven. And I'm like, yeah, that's what we're talking about. Or the prodigal son coming home and the father being like, you're always with me. Everything I have is yours. Let's have a party.
Yeah.
Like you go like, that doesn't even make sense. And
Right.
you're like, yeah. I know, because we're in what's the meaning, what's the purpose, where's this going? We want to know if a moving rock is a tiger. We want to know if I gather this food, will it help me for the winter?
Yeah.
And God's love is just kind of like, doesn't compute
Yeah.
like deep sleep and like a deep
It's
meditative
just,
state.
yeah.
It just is.
Yeah, it just is. And I think with near-death experiences, one thing that, I guess one of the fears I have about death is like your loved ones, right? Is not being able to see your loved ones after you die.
Yeah, of course.
And then they talk about near-death experiences where you kind of, people say they saw their dead parent
Right.
and they kind of guided them through the
Right.
process. So I think that's I don't fear death for myself, but it is kind of I fear like not seeing loved ones.
Of course.
I think that's the biggest fear for me.
And I'm talking to myself. I'm certainly not Pete-splaining this to you. What I was thinking about it this morning, dude, on the ride down, because I was in such a bad mood.
Yeah.
Again, my body's wrecked. I did 6 shows this weekend. I'm just kind of burnt out, doing a lot of parenting, and just feeling wrecked. And when I'm in a bad mood, I'll be driving, and like every car I see, I hate them. You know what I mean? Like I'm just so mad. And I'm embarrassed to tell you this, but it's true. I don't act on it.
Yeah.
I have to say that. My pride won't let me tell you that I don't act on it.
Yeah.
But like in my internal reality, I'm just bitter.
Yeah.
And like scared. And then I'm so lucky to have my partner Val, and she's always just telling me like it's not about perfection, but that was ingrained in me, like be perfect, always be happy, be smiley, be good. It's like, no, it's about giving space and being allowing, and kind of even the playful, spacious giggle at all of it too. Like, it sucks. And like when you're going to die and you're going to miss your loved ones, you have to be like, you have to be allowing of that. Nothing is gained by being like, I should be spiritual about this.
Right,
you know what I mean?
right, yeah.
You have to be like, yeah, dude. Like it has to be both and.
Yeah.
Like I'm infinite awareness, and nothing happens when a tide or a whirlpool unravels into the ocean.
Right.
That's ultimate reality. Relative reality, are you fucking nuts? Like
Yeah,
I can't.
yeah.
I got things to do. I got things to see.
Right.
I have a daughter. I have a family. I have art to make. I have friends. Like it's both. It's never. It's even what we were saying earlier. That's Jesus in the desert. Then Jesus comes back. I'm sure Jesus was like, I would have loved one more supper.
Right.
I'm not even trying to be funny. That was the last supper?
Yeah.
Would have loved another supper. These guys are great.
Yeah.
You know what I
yeah.
mean? And that's not wicked or not spiritual.
Yeah.
If it was not spiritual to kind of like your character, to just kind of like rock out and enjoy life, then what are we even doing? Like, why even do it?
Right.
Rupert would say the meaning of life is it's this loving one singular thing. It's just its nature to overflow and to dance and to play. That's what Leela's name means. Leela is the play, the dance. It's not for a purpose. It's not for like some sort of like, there's no spreadsheet that ultimate consciousness is filling out. It's just its nature to clap against itself and just like sparks flying off of two clashing beautiful whatever.
Yeah.
And those sparks are us, and it's there and then it's not there.
Yeah.
And then spirituality is like, don't worry about the there and not there. Just focus on what's always there. And then you can enjoy being the thing that's there and then not there.
Wow.
Let's do some ketamine.
I've never tried it.
I highly recommend it, but I mean, like, you can do it legally and with a therapist. That's what I recommend to you, is to do it legally and in a clinic where it is legal. But it's an incredibly non-dual experience because you don't have a body when you do it.
Yeah, you have the out of body.
I wouldn't even call it out of body. I would call it a vanishing. Out of body, I would think like, oh, I'm a spirit and I'm floating over the earth or whatever. And I used to be fascinated by things like that. Like that was another near death, like astral projecting.
Yeah.
Ketamine is like, it's like, you know, when you're using a paint program on a computer and you get the eraser and you just erase everything.
Interesting.
And it's gone.
Yeah.
And then you're just consciousness.
Yeah.
And if you're cool with that, you'll love it. If you're not cool with that, you won't like it. Like you'll be like, where am I? But you'll still be so kind of comfortable that I don't think.
Interesting.
I don't know. It's not like mushrooms, where sometimes mushrooms is like, welcome to the game show of your life or whatever. It's less mischievous, it seems.
Cool.
Yeah. But have you done psychedelics? Is that
I've done mushrooms. I haven't done LSD. I've done an eighth of mushrooms a few times. But you know, I was younger, so I did some like microdosing, but I do want to do mushrooms or ketamine with the intention of having a more spiritual experience, because I haven't really done that.
Yeah. What's interesting about, not to oversell it, but if you did work with a ketamine therapist in a legal manner, you can step it up.
Yeah.
Mushrooms, you take your mushrooms and you're on mushrooms.
Yeah.
You can kind of try and, I've known people that like wait an hour and then maybe take more, but ketamine is really like, here's a little.
Yeah.
How do you feel? Here's a little more. How do you feel? You really can walk slowly up.
Yeah.
And you make like a very conscious decision to be like, all right, I'm really out there, but I'm going to go for the void.
Stepping in, yeah.
I'm going to step into it. But again, sorry to make this the ketamine sponsored podcast. Although, what was it? Mind Bloom? Mind Bloom used to be a sponsor of this podcast.
Oh, really?
So it is the ketamine sponsored podcast.
Yeah.
But when one of the things is it's a painkiller, right? It's a tranquilizer. So you feel bodily euphoric and that emboldens you to be like, I'm ready to go meet the universe. Like you end up making, that's why it's good to do it with a therapist or a guide.
Yeah.
You end up making decisions that are impeded or I would say helped by the fact that you feel no pain and no fear.
Yeah.
Whereas opposed to like, if you ask me to right now just cannonball into infinity, I might need to like do some breath work first.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Do some Wim Hof.
Do some Wim Hof.
Yeah.
Are you into that too?
Yeah.
Oh,
I did some
okay.
this morning. I hadn't done it in a while, and I did it. I was in Dallas this weekend, so I did some there, and I was like, oh, I was like, this is awesome. I forgot
is.
about it. It just feels
work.
great. Yeah.
Breath work is the secret. I don't know, man. It's like the one thing. Forget, even take psychedelics off. There's my friend Tatiana, who actually happens to be a ketamine therapist. She sent me a breathwork thing because I was always like, how do you trip just by breathing? And she sent me this thing. The answer is so boring. It's like when you find out how a magic trick works. You do breathwork for an hour. That's how.
Yeah.
And I've never done it, even when I've been on the road and I have nothing to do. I'm like, I'm going to go for it. I've made it like 40 minutes tops.
Yeah.
But the breath is just, it's the no gap circular, like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and if you do that for
an hour.
the program that I have I've never gone past 40 minutes. I'm assuming it's at least an hour.
Yeah.
But when you come out of that, you're desperately seeking Susan. You're like looking for an anvil to hold on to because you actually want to come back to Earth. You feel so good in your body.
Wow.
And so kind of out there. It's very similar to being on drugs. You go like, but how could I ever make a phone call again?
Yeah.
You have to remind yourself like, in literally 15 minutes, you'll be back.
Right.
But you have to, like with all of these things, you have to kind of coach yourself and be like, on ketamine too, you have to be like, I promise you'll be back. I know it seems like you're never going to be back. I promise you'll be back.
Wow.
So where did you get introduced to non-dual stuff? I'm enjoying
non-dualism?
this aspect of our chat.
I mean, I guess it started for me maybe with Eckhart. My brother showed me Eckhart.
Yeah.
And then
Power of Now?
Power of Now.
Did you read it or listen to it?
I listened to it. Yeah.
I think that's the way to go.
Yeah. And
It's better.
and he showed to me maybe like 6 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And I was into all, I was just drawn towards spirituality. And so I in my early 20s, I like the manifestation kind of stuff, and then Wayne Dyer, and then it was kind of probably about like 4 or 5 years ago when I started to get more into it, and I was like, oh, I should ramp this up because I just love it so much. So then I listened to Eckhart, I think during COVID, and I really started to grasp what he was saying.
Not to be disrespectful to all the people we lost during COVID, but what a great time to like go
to
deep.
reflect.
Yeah, because the world is like kind of on pause, but also on fire.
Yeah.
And you found it at that time. That's great.
Yeah, I was like starting to just read more like just philosophy books, and just like that I really started to grasp Eckhart. And then I would have these moments, just like when he tells you to just sort of observe the world without judgment. I would have like brief moments of like that kind of euphoric feeling of like, oh, that's presence, on like a walk, you'd see trees and you'd be like, whoa.
Yeah, you tasted it.
You taste it. Yeah.
Yeah, you start, I love those. You're just,
those moments.
It's great.
I was in a movie theater with my mom and I tried to do it, and I had that moment. I was like, oh,
That's
I love
so
it.
cool.
Yeah.
It's funny. it's taken me a really long time, but Eckhart Tolle teaches that when you're like even watching TV, he goes, just keep a piece of your awareness with you.
Yeah.
That's aware that you're
That's a
watching
good impression.
a movie.
Yeah.
My Eckhart is glass case of emotion. It's an Anchorman line, but it's Eckhart Tolle saying it. It says emotion. I listen to those books like once a year.
Yeah.
Both A New Earth and A Power Now. Yeah.
They're so good.
They're so good, and like we were saying, you just need to wash it over. But now, again, I don't count how many years I've been doing spiritual things, but now when I'm watching a movie, I will notice that there's another part that's just kind of like, it's not really thinking about it, but it's like weird. Like I'm a thing in a thing that is kind of like a movie, and one of the things in the movie I do is watch other movies.
Watching TV. Yeah. Thinking about watching TV is so interesting.
It is.
You're just like, or even like nowadays too with like live stream. Like I'm just gonna watch this guy play video games.
Yep. We love it.
Yeah.
Though we can't get enough of it.
Yeah, maybe it is like kind of like brings us back to that feeling of like, oh, we're kind of just playing avatars or something like that.
I think it does.
You know?
I think video games for sure.
Yeah.
I got stoned recently and played Red Dead Redemption, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, it was like an overwhelming, like, what the fuck? Like, there was a time where it was the Wild West, and now it's these times. And then we made a simulator of that, but that's all fine and well. But when you think that reality is, in a sense, a simulation, so the nature of reality is a simulator. You could call God like a simulator. And then being in God's image, I know that's religious language, but being like our source, we then use the simulation to further simulate the simulation is enough to get you pretty giggly while you're playing Red Dead Redemption.
It's so ridiculous. Yeah.
We're back to that holy laughter. It's like, it's not, you're going down the wrong path if it starts to freak you out. And with respect, maybe this is kind of freaky to some people, but that's why teachers and people like Buddha or Christ or Eckhart or whoever you might have that are just telling you like, relax, it's okay, relax, it's okay. Because you can be like, but that's the wrong direction.
Yeah. And it's, I think going back to like Eckhart, it's like, I would have those moments of like, kind of presence, and it is kind of this desire I've always had, I think, to reach that point of playfulness, and that, because I just want to exist there. And so I started getting into that, and then I met James Bashara. He got me into Vedanta, which is like I think Rupert Spira studied Vedanta.
Advaita means non-dual, and Vedanta, I think, just means wisdom. So I think Advaita Vedanta this is just two white guys figuring it out. But Advaita Vedanta, I think, just means non-dual wisdom, understanding, teaching. We could Google that, but let's just live in the unknowing. Who cares? But he probably gave you that book.
The Eternities.
Eternities, yeah. I tried to read that. For some reason, Rupert is just more of my jam. But did you read?
I read Eternities. I listened to Swami Ji, who's the Vedanta teacher. In the Swami in India.
That's James's person, right?
Swami, yeah. And then I loved that, and then I loved his lectures, and he talks about being objective in this world. Like, it's kind of like the way we're able to watch a movie we're entertained by tragedy because we're not attached to those to what's happening, and
so many of the teachers I've been running across are like, that's entertainment. Like, you're having like my morning, I'm having like this bitch of a morning. And if I was non-objectively watching that morning, it'd be a hoot. Like, Pinched Pete is a hoot.
Just watching it.
If you're not Pinched Pete.
Exactly.
So a lot of Ramana Maharshi, Rupert, they use the movie analogy where it's like, if you can identify as the screen, that out of which everything arises. Like, when you It's so interesting. This is either fascinating or it's not anything. But when you close your eyes and like, let's say an image comes up or a feeling comes up, the holy question is like, out of what is that emerging and into what is that receding? Mm-hmm. And you can really get that sense. Like I had a feeling in my throat because I just took a sip of the water, and it like there's like a million little dots of we don't know what of knowing show up.
Yeah.
And then they go, and like spirituality and Vedanta is like going, but out of what is that? What is the ground of being, or what is the piece of paper that those dots are written on? The golden thread that was there before the feeling in my throat and remained after the feeling in my throat. You can really do it easily with an image. If you picture, I always say Michael Jordan, but if you picture Michael Jordan, it dissolves in, and then eventually it dissolves away. But the screen of your knowing was there before it and after it.
Right.
It was there before your thoughts and after your thoughts. It was before your feelings and after your feelings.
Yeah.
This is why the Bible uses the language of like the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. And when I was on ketamine going like, it's beyond yes and no. It's just this like, it's this infinite potential of knowing within which and out of which everything is made.
Wow. Yeah, the screen, that analogy too of like the screen coming to life and then going back in. That is,
But it remains.
It remains. It's the
just,
screen. Yeah.
The next level is me. Next level is even wrong though, because I'm just like, that's again, one of the things, sorry, I know I'm talking a lot, but Rupert says like waiting for an enlightened experience, waiting for something incredible to happen, including your equanimity in every situation, is like saying, when this movie shows me a movie of a guy who's not bothered by anything, then I'll be able to see the screen.
Yeah.
And it's like, what? When the real masters, I think, are like bad mood, good fortune, bad fortune, losing my temper in a casino, sitting by a river, all the same.
Yeah.
And I've never really understood that, but they're going like, because that's, you know, that's not the real thing.
Right. Yeah, it's like there's it's kind of riding with the emotions, but having a sense of peace.
Yeah.
Through it all.
This too shall pass, or I know it always sounds like you're doing a voice, but also like, oh, I see, like, oh, also like this too, this too, and the perhaps and the thank you and the like, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, and that ability to step back and giggle at it.
And to giggle, yeah.
Michael Singer too. I forgot he wrote Untethered Soul.
Oh, I don't know if I know that one.
It's a good one. I like that guy a lot. He's interesting. He wrote this book called The Surrender Experiment, where he's a yogi in Florida, and like he just got into meditation, and he just did this experiment where he's like, I'm just going to surrender to life. So whatever life throws my way, I'll say yes to. And he ended up becoming like a billionaire.
What?
He created like this computer software in the 70s, and it just like.
I'm sorry, what?
It's crazy.
Like the surrender experiment. So he's just like, I'm just going to do whatever comes my way.
Yeah. And but he's like, he felt drawn towards software.
Yes.
And ended up creating like this $1 billion company.
Wow.
And it's really interesting.
Well, I'm with that because and for what it's worth, so is Rupert. He's like, following your gifts and what makes you happy and what lights you up.
Yeah.
What are you following? Like, what is that intuition, that instinct, but that sharing? There's something to that, even if ultimate reality is all just one and nothing's really happening.
Yeah.
Relative reality, like going with your intuition and sharing your gifts and looking to connect and what. So if you ask Rupert, why are you not a solipsist, right? Mm-hmm. Why if everything you do is evidence-based, experience-based, but you can't experience my consciousness, how can you be sure I have one?
Right.
You should be a solipsist. He says, because when I act like a solipsist, I'm not rewarded with peace, love, and happiness. So it's like we're using the feedback as a metal detector, as a guide.
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised that this guy, even with something like software, he's drawn to it. And then there were the right people. Then there were the right circumstances.
Yeah.
And now they're feeling juiced. Like you when you started doing comedy. There you are, Peter.
Yeah.
That, relatively speaking, is really exciting.
Yeah.
And that's why I was saying, like, we don't want to force our dreams and be like, I'm supposed to be Brad Pitt. You're supposed to, as Joseph Campbell said, follow your bliss and listen to the feedback.
Yeah.
Like you're sending out that sonar ping. Did it ping back? Well, maybe go in this direction.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be in the NBA. Maybe it's something else.
Yeah. And it's, I remember, you know, a few years back or even like, I work on it now is like, especially with this, you're like, I need to force an outcome. I need to like, you know,
You mean getting engaged?
No. I'm talking about career stuff.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I was trying to guess what you meant by even now.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, just like, I need to sell a TV show, or I need to like, this is what needs to happen.
Yeah.
For my path to, you know, become realized, or for my vision to become realized.
Yeah.
Whereas as opposed to, you know, what you're saying is like following your joy. It's like making the Fast and Furious movie quote videos. 'Cause I just love doing that. And then trusting that if I keep doing stuff like that, then the right things will come along, as opposed to being like, well, you know, I don't know if that's really what like, an exec is you know what I'm saying?
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, maybe you've heard me say it. I say it all the time, but it's, if you get firsthand great advice from Conan O'Brien, you share it.
Yeah.
And he goes, the whole of show business is 1 billion people playing tubas and oboes and banging on pianos. He's like, all you can do is hit your little triangle and just keep hitting it.
Yeah.
And then the singularity of you doing what you're supposed to do, which is your little triangle, will start to stand out because of its consistency, while everyone is switching it up, trying to guess what an executive might like.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll play an organ while I chew on a harmonica. You just keep doing what's written on your bones to do. Eventually, all the noise will become the backdrop of your clean triangle sound. He didn't exactly say it like that, but that was what he meant. So, like, that your Fast and Furious is your triangle.
Yeah, it's like just
It's your Fight Club.
It's my Fight Club. Yeah. Just saying Fast and Furious quotes to people.
Is the line, I had to ask.
Yeah.
So one of the scenes, so they go around to like a car show basically, and they're doing in the wild scenes from Fast and the Furious, and it's so funny. And one of the lines is like, Rodriguez, he's hitting her from,
Fuentes.
Verone's
tapping her. Yeah.
And then tapping her how?
Yeah.
And then does he say doggy?
No.
Okay.
No. That was.
I was like, how bad is that scene? I didn't know.
No, that's
Does he say tapping her how?
Yeah, he says tapping her how. So it's Paul Walker and Tyrese talking to the cops, and they're undercover. And this is too Fast and Furious. So Verone is the drug dealer, played by Cole Hauser, who's Rip in Yellowstone. Did you watch Yellowstone?
Mm-mm. Yeah, should I?
It's good.
Really?
I'd say the first few seasons.
Okay.
And so Eva Mendes is undercover. So she's, and she's like hooking up with Cole Hauser. And so Tyrese is like to the undercover, he's like to the cops, he's like, Fuentes, Eva Mendes, Verone's tapping her. And the guy goes, tapping her how? And then
he doesn't know what tapping her means? The cop is like such a square?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the other cop goes, that is crap. And then Tyrese goes, what you talking about, homeboy? We know what we seen. So we just did.
You took that scene to the streets.
Yes. So yeah, we just.
It's too good.
It just interweave. Just only speak in Fast and Furious quotes. That's the bit.
Oh my God, Joe, you gotta clip this with clips of that.
Yeah.
It's too funny. That is just, people have to see what we're talking about.
We did Point Break last week.
Yeah, I saw that too.
And then we did Nicolas Cage recently, which was really fun.
They're so funny.
Yeah.
So fun.
So yeah, I have a blast doing those.
I love that. Well, I'd be remiss if we didn't hit some of my fave questions.
Yes.
Fave question. First of all, when I get stoned, I talk like your character.
Oh, you do?
In the videos.
Yeah.
There's something about the California surf guy. it's like a vacation for talking. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
It's fun.
Do you feel the same way?
Oh, 100%.
Like, it just feels great to be like, I just smashed a burrito. Like, it just feels right and good.
To abbreviate words.
That's what made me think of it.
Yeah.
Some of my fave questions.
What's the ish?
What's the ish? Yeah. It just feels great.
Yeah.
Why that didn't take over the world? Because we don't really care about being happy. We want to be happier than our enemies.
Yeah.
We don't want to be happy as much as we want to be a winner.
Yes.
Which means someone has to be beneath us that we've humiliated. And that's really the American way. It's not being happy.
Yeah.
Happy is stupid. Happy is like some guys, whatever. I don't want to drag some place. I'm just saying, like, our culture does not value happiness very much.
No.
We think we like the pursuit of happiness.
Yeah.
But we don't actually want to be happy. We just want to destroy somebody.
Yeah, winning and dominating.
We want to win and dominate and know we won and dominated. And if we're a little happy with that for a moment, that's fine.
Yeah.
But then we'll think about like how we can sell a commemorative coin of the defeat. You know what I mean? Like, or sell the movie rights. We got to just keep pursuing.
Or start a hedge fund.
Or whatever the fuck. Does Sonic the Hedge Fund?
Yeah.
Sonic the Hedge Fund, man.
That's a good spin-off.
That's a TikTok right there. Yeah. Sonic the Hedge Fund. Yeah. That's me just going like, what am I going to... What's Ben Schwartz to do it? That's interesting to me. Because then I'll know I'm winning. I'm asking Ben for his time and I'm dominating him. And he'll do it, and that means I'm important. That's interesting to me. Not the actual idea, but can I get Ben to do it? Now I'm an American. Have you ever seen a ghost or an alien? UFO?
I wish.
Ever seen a psychic that knew something crazy?
No.
Really?
No.
Seemed like a guy who's maybe sat down on a...
I'm searching for it, but maybe that's my problem.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm scared of ghosts, but
yeah.
I love aliens. But I will say this about aliens. It's now become so mainstream.
Oh, I know.
It's kind of not cool anymore.
Agreed.
The government's talking about it.
Lame.
I think aliens are out.
I agree.
And I'm like, and if the government's like, yeah, can you believe like this thing is
nerd?
Yeah, I'm like, shut up. I liked when it was like underground and you like say to people like, hey man, you believe in aliens? Totally. It's kind of like when weed became legal.
That's a bit.
Yeah.
You have a bit.
Oh, dude, thanks. I've been trying to find it.
That's a bit.
Yeah, cool.
Well, all you need is the hinge, the turn of the comparison, and now it's a bit. Because it was already kind of a bit.
Yeah.
It's your bit, obviously, just to be super clear. You're like, I miss when liking aliens was cool, because now it's like your teacher is lecturing about aliens.
Yeah.
So boring.
So boring.
And now weed is like my mom, not really, but like some people in my family who maybe don't want people to know that they do, but they're like taking gummies to sleep.
Yeah.
That's not George Clinton and the Funkadelics.
No. You're supposed to go into like a Camry.
Yes.
Buy it in a plastic baggie. And,
that's right.
And
smoke it in another Camry.
Yeah.
The second Camry is where you get baked.
Yeah. For alien documentaries, you're supposed to go on Rumble and not tell anyone.
The website where you get your alien videos should also have faces of death. You know what I mean? It should be like, do we want to watch people really dying or do we want to watch aliens?
Yeah. By the way, how weird is that's just all over the internet
Faces
now?
of death?
Well, just like if you go on like Twitter now, it's like...
Oh, people dying?
People dying. I can't even look at Twitter because it's nonstop.
I will say, and I don't have any pleasure in saying this, what the news will show has changed quite a bit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, even like Luigi Mangione... shooting that guy, they loved showing that clip of him putting the gun up over and over and over. And if you're like, I'm not even weighing in on that as an event. I'm just saying like, that's footage of someone who's about to be murdered.
Yeah.
And we're just like, when we come back from the Kellogg's Frosted Flakes news bump, Luigi Mangione, and it's just showing
it's crazy.
A murder.
Yeah.
And I'm like, call me old fashioned, but like there was a time when you could just say like his mug shot.
Yeah.
And this guy killed a guy.
Yeah.
We have to show the footage.
Yeah.
And like if somebody's like in a prank dies or hit by a like we're seeing too many people dying out there.
Yeah, I agree.
Facts.
Have you seen a ghost?
I'm trying to think if I have a new one. I think I would know. Brett Goldstein has the best ghost story.
Oh, really?
Of all time. You should listen to that one. When a whole family leaves a vacation rental, that's how you know it's a good ghost story.
Yeah.
Although that's not always true. Sometimes you just get the sense that it's like a little Salem witch trial, like they're freaking each other out.
Yeah.
But Brett is like poltergeisty.
Wow.
Like he tells a story of like classic cupboards opening and closing, things flying around the room.
Cool.
And it started slow.
Yeah.
Classic. Like the ghosts are like trying to scare you out and it's like it's not working. So they more.
Wow.
Yeah. So I've heard some really great stories, but I've never seen anything incredible. And one time recently I was very stoned and I saw somebody standing by my bed, but I was very stoned and weed is a hallucinogen. So like, let's not count that.
If Rupert Spira were being haunted by a ghost and it was trying to scare him, do you think he'd get scared?
Okay. So you've touched on the thing that not only me, but most people who like Rupert want to know, which is, are you always calm? And like, would you be chill if we put you in a room with a barking dog for 3 days straight? Like, what will break you? Would a ghost break you? And he's usually pretty good about just being like, you have the sensation, then you return to your being.
Right.
So like I think he would be, it's hard for me, I'm not speaking for him, but like, I think, holy shit, like freaked out.
Yeah.
And then you just kind of, the practice seems to be like, how quickly can you just return to yourself, no matter what's happening.
Yeah.
And that's a lifelong, like Ironman marathon.
Yeah. Like, oh my goodness.
Oh, I wish I could do Rupert. I can't. I listen to him.
I love the way he
constantly.
speaks. His
Me
voice
too.
is so.
He's dreamy.
Yeah.
He's dreamy.
Yeah.
His voice.
It's a little bit like that, but.
He goes, no. The only one I can do is he says no in this way. I can't quite. He goes, does that mean we're supposed to? No. Yeah. I can't do it.
What it is when you love someone, it's oneness.
Yeah. Love isn't a relationship. It's the collapse of a relationship. I have listened to him for so long that when someone asks a question, 80% of the time I have a guess what he's going to say. And I'm such a super fan. The 20% that I don't, I'm like, I went through the same thing with Ram Dass. It was like, someone asked Ram Dass about vegetarianism or asked him about specifically about baseball or whatever. And I'd like tune in like a super fan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that stuff.
Yeah, me too. Have you ever almost died?
No, but I surf. So I've been in, big waves and I've never had like a,
you had some scary ones?
I've had just some scary moments where you see you're pushed underwater for a while, or never to the point where I'm like, I'm going to drown.
Yeah. But it's scary.
It's scary. But that's why I say surfers are so calm is because they put themselves in near death experiences all the time. So it's like you put yourself in that high stress situation and then or like fighters too. It's like
totally. Well, you get your body and your nervous system gets the message. You can tell your brain nothing is gained if you stress out past a certain point.
Yeah.
If at this point it's like adrenaline, clarity of vision, all this sort of stuff, alertness. That's good. But up here, you're actually hurting us.
Yeah.
So I feel like surfers have a good, they stop at the useful point and they're not going to panic. Because I've, believe it or not, meaning I don't surf that much, but I've gotten pushed under way longer than I was comfortable with.
Yeah.
Like I love swimming underwater. That's actually how I prefer to swim.
Yeah.
But I was down there and then it's like turning you over and then it's like you're down there still and you're like, nothing is gained by panicking right now.
Yeah.
In fact, you'll lose air if you panic.
Yeah, you can panic and start to move, and then it's kind of like remembering the practice too. It's kind of like you're like, no, I'm just gonna let this tumble me and be calm, and then I will come up.
That's what it is.
Or I'll merge back with consciousness.
Well, my daughter gets real dark. She goes like, well, what if you, because I often like need water to swallow something, like it gets stuck. It's something
Yeah.
that happens in your 40s, I hope, or something weird that happens to me. So I have a bottle of water, and I told Leela, I was like, can I please have that back? Because it's my emergency bottle of water. If I'm ever eating in the car, and I've had to, I need to wash something down. She goes, what if you didn't have it? And I was like, well, I don't know. I would go into a bathroom, I'd pull over, blah, blah. And she's like, but what if you choke and die? And I go, well, then I die.
Yeah.
Like, but even just kind of like what you just said, just being like, yep, that's something we all have to deal with. And I'm not going to say, well, that's not going to happen. Like I do say, don't worry about that. That's not going to happen. But yeah, if I choked and died, then I would choke and die.
Yeah.
Maybe that's not correct, but
No,
that's what I say. She seems totally.
I think that's great.
I'm mirroring her comfort level with it. Just for anybody that's judging my strange parenting answer, she's very groovy talking about death. She's okay with it.
That's how old is she again?
She's 6.
6. Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So yeah, it's the best.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? You were saying, I really think we've ended our chat here with a perfect metaphor. It's like for people that have surfed, and when you get thrown off your board and you're underwater, your resistance is actually making the suffering.
Yeah.
If you look at what's happening, you're actually floating weightless in this buoyant, you know what I mean? Like, unless you get crashed into a rock, but like for the most part, you're just kind of in the water, and all you have to do is just calm down, and you will bob back up.
It'll pass.
It'll pass.
Yeah.
This too shall pass is a big one.
Yeah.
Is a big one, and just kind of like enjoying the toss.
Yeah.
Enjoy the toss. What about this as our final? Can you tell me the time in your life you laughed the hardest?
Yeah, I was
He knows it.
I was stoned in college, and have you seen Starship Troopers?
Yes.
I was really stoned in college watching Starship
That's
Troopers.
they're like fighting bug people.
Yeah, it's like a parody of alien invasion movies, and it's way over the top. And actually, I have two. So there's a part where this guy is like, you know, they're training like the soldiers, right? And this guy's like, why do we have to do this? This is stupid. And the guy goes, put your hand right there. And he puts it on the board, and the guy just throws a knife into it. The guy's he's like, his face, he goes, ah. And seeing that stoned, I literally laughed for like a day straight.
Because it was so small, his reaction, or just the whole thing?
Just the guy throwing a knife in the guy's hand. And then his reaction, he's like, ah. It was just so funny to me. And then the next one was in high school. We were just messing around in the dorms, and we were like with like some trimmers. We were like shaving like lines into our eyebrows.
Oh yeah, sure.
And my buddy Zach, who's from Canada, he's like a big hockey player. He's like, he asked my other friend George, he's like, can you give me one of those? He goes, yeah. And so George, for some reason, goes right in the middle of his eyebrow and then just shaves half of it off. And his face, after his face, he's just... And he's like, well, you gotta shave the other one to make it even. So this guy just had two tiny eyebrows.
That story's good.
Yeah.
And then it becomes great when he's mad, and then he goes, well, you got to do the other one. That is a classic.
And if you know his face too, it makes it even funnier because his face, just the way he looked, him having tiny eyebrows made it even funnier.
Like here?
Yeah, like
just a little guy.
Yeah, like just a little one. Yeah.
Oh my God. Two,
yeah. Yeah, he just goes the guy's face.
Oh my God.
His face, he goes for like a minute, he's just
a non-event, a non-experience.
Yeah.
Like deep sleep.
Yeah.
Buddy, I have loved this.
Thank you so much for having me.
What can people check out? Chad and JT go deep.
Yep.
And you're not Chad, you're Tom Allen.
Yes.
Reddit's already figured that out, though.
Yep. You saw that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a big deal.
Chad Goes Deep on Instagram. For tour dates, it's my buddy JT and I. We tour together, so chadandjt.com. And yeah,
such a great duo. Why are all duos are kind of the same?
Yeah.
Like if I saw you and then you were like, and who should this duo be? I'm not saying I could do it.
Yeah.
But then you see JT, you're like, exactly.
Yeah, that
it's
works.
a great partnership.
Yeah,
so I'm
yeah.
glad you guys are found one another and found your fight club.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man. And congrats on getting married.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I'm pumped.
You're gonna love it.
Yeah.
It's the best.
Yeah, that was an interesting thing where you just know right away that
with your partner.
Yeah.
Is that your experience? I mean,
yeah.
I certainly agree with that.
Yeah.
But
I'd never experienced anything like that where it's just,
me neither.
like within like the first date, you're like, oh, this is it.
I wrote in my book that when I'm older, I'll just say it was love at first sight, and that's basically true.
Mm-hmm.
But there's this feeling of like, thank God, intuition. We couldn't have given who to marry to the math of the brain.
Yeah.
The brain was involved.
Yeah.
I wasn't like a total dingus, but like the heart was like, yes.
Yeah.
And now we've been together 12 years. And like when I'm hanging out with Val and we're just like, she sent me a text this morning that made me want to cry, but it's not even about that. It's about like, we just like being together.
Yeah.
Always, and supporting each other. And a big one is, it's going to sound weird, but like respect and like honoring somebody and giving them space.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you need to use any of that language, but there's something about respect that even in friendships, people like respect. It's gotten diluted and turned into like calling people sir or being tight.
Yeah.
It's not. Like respect is doing the dishes, or respect is like putting your thing over here because you respect that they want that week to do that thing. And it's huge. It's a great avenue of love.
And it's even like if you, I think too, one thing I've realized too is that if you think in your mind like they should do something this way, or like they should make, and just letting it be and kind of giving space and being like, no, like trusting that they know their path better than you think that, and it always works out. I agree. If you just allow them to.
Well, that too space.
Yeah.
And then when they're having feelings, allow them to have their feeling.
Yeah.
And Val is an inexhaustible refuge for me. And I'm a very sensitive person. So like I go through times where I'm just like, I just feel, and she's like, it's okay. Yeah. Over and over. And you're just like, when will I come to you? And you're just like, Jesus Christ. Hasn't happened. Yeah. It's amazing.
I do want to say too, I'm a huge fan, and this,
thanks, man.
When I was starting comedy, this podcast was kind of a guiding light.
Oh, wow.
Cause I would listen, when you just talking to comedians and stuff, and it was always like a very, when you're kind of trying to figure out what to do. Yeah. It was, it just, helps you find your way.
That's great.
Yeah.
I'm listening to the Valley Heat podcast. I'm obsessed with it. And he always says, I'll take that remark. It's when someone's insulting him, but you just said that. And I was like, I'll take that remark. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Not to keep bringing up drugs, but sometimes if I'm on mushrooms or something, I'll remember that like that, especially in the early years, the podcast was meaningful to people who wanted to make art like yourself. Yeah. And so I really received that and I appreciate it very much. Yeah. Thank you for telling me.
Yeah. So it's cool to be on here.
What fun. Well, you were a real pro when you said you were a fan. I didn't see that coming. It's not that you're not being kind and excited and respectful and all that, but like you were a great guest.
Oh, thanks.
Great job.
Oh, it was great chatting with you.
See you at your wedding.
Yeah.
What if I'm dead serious? See you at your wedding.
Hey, Palm Springs, you got to be there.
Where's that's in California, right?
Yeah.
Palm Springs sounds like it should be in Florida.
I know, right?
There's probably a Palm Springs, Florida.
There's got to be.
Yeah.
Palm Beach, Palm Springs.
Who fucking knows, man? I'm just putting ketamine on your wedding cake.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, thanks very much, man. Would you say keep it crispy? It's just how we end.
Yeah, keep it crispy.
Zero hesitation. Because when the wave tosses you down, just surrender.
You cruise.
Just cruise, man.
You made it weird. You made it weird.